Stream. We hopefully with 50% less technical difficulties.
I do have confirmation that it was YouTube's fault all along.
It was all YouTube's fault. We did nothing wrong.
Nope. We did everything correctly.
We did everything correctly. So yeah. So but last stream was good though. I actually really enjoyed last stream. It's a shame that we had so many technical difficulties during it because that was quite a fun one. But anyhow, it's time to have some fun. It's time to do another stream. So what are we covering today?
Well, this time it comes from a video that I initially rejected, but somebody else pointed something silly out, so it might actually be fun to cover.
And it somewhat loops back to a previous episode as well, where we were talking about dubs versus subs. It's tangentially related to the arguments made in that particular video, which I've sadly seen propagating quite a lot around the internet. because it seems like after that guy made his video, everyone has been repeating. It's like the NPC BIOS update happens, right? And everyone just starts repeating the same talking points. I've seen so many people be like, "Oh, anime, the only reason the dub sounds cringe to you is because it's the anime dialogue is cringe. The script is already cringe. Japanese anime is just cringe."
You know how cringe Marvel is. If you actually talk like that, any Marvel character in real life would be insufferable beyond belief.
So I patently reject that nonsense. I patently reject the appeals to that shit. But it's a shame that that's now become the new sort of like fucking update everyone's got, and so people just keep repeating it. But anyhow,
this video is about how
drunk.
This video is about why the anime dialogue sucks.
Yeah, why does it suck? Why is it cringe? If you believe it's cringe in the first place.
I don't, but...
Me neither, but I guess we're going to find out. So let's switch, very quick switch over to the video, and we will get right into it. Just get my stuff open. Oh, I gotta have a stretch too. There we go. Right. So yeah. So this is why anime dialogue sucks. I can't remember what the name of the guy is, but it's some dude has a video. But yeah, let's
look it up real quick.
Oh yeah, I'll
Zako anime.
Zako anime. All right. Well, let's jump right into it.
Japan is very different to the West. When watching anime, the cultural differences may not be something you think about, but I think Japan's collectivist society affects the media it produces.
Okay. Go on. Go on.
All of Japan is one...
God, it is actually, because that was the problem we had with the other guy. Whatever his name was, the progenitor of the fucking Dubs v Sub thing. Like, because he was kind of doing the whole like cool Japan.
Yeah.
All of Japan is part of some grand conspiracy to fucking take over the world or whatever. Like this sounds very similar to that, where it's like, oh yes, Japan, their collectivist society is why anime dialogue is cringe or whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
which is such a weird, because on the one hand you could argue that Japan is more of a collectivist society than the West, but it's kind of annoying how people deal in absolutes, right, with this kind of thing, because like, at the end of the day, everyone's still an individual. And regardless of if you're in a collectivist society or not, and I would, this is gonna. I can already tell. I can already tell this is gonna be silly.
I have a small theory, a very small theory. You know the memes of this is a chart of the Japanese, how many Japanese there are in Japan, and the joke is it's the flag of Japan. It's a pie chart. Of Japanese in Japan, and it is the Japanese flag.
Because it's like 99 point fucking whatever %.
But there is a nuance here, and that nuance is that the Japanese, census only looks at nationality, not at ethnicity. Because even in Japan, you have different ethnicities.
Yeah.
Even the simple one, the Ainu in Hokkaido, of course, almost exterminated, but there are still a few. They are not counted as a separate ethnicity. They are also counted as Japanese, which means that Japan doesn't keep track of any ethnicities, any heritage of that kind. It's all just Japanese, and we're not going to look any further, which skews kind of the balance of how we think about how collective, how homogenized we think Japan is. When it's not true, the mainland Japan has about 3 different ethnicities. You know,
Yeah.
the ancient Chinese and the ancient Koreans and the ancient Japanese who were there all along, and of course the small islands down south are their own ethnicities. So it really skews how much of a single entity, or how we think of Japan as a single thing.
The monolith of Japan.
The
yeah,
mono ethnicity of Japan, which isn't true. Even in your small island of New Zealand, you have, of course, 5 ethnicities already.
Yeah. New Zealand is extremely diverse, which is quite funny when you think about it. Because you obviously have the Maori, which are the native, well, quote unquote native.
I assume that the Maori even have their own subdivisions in.
They do. Oh, they do.
Which what I mean, even in a small
God,
island.
it gets very complicated when it comes to the Maori. Yeah, and then even within Pākehā, which is what the term for white European settler is there's different, because everyone's mixed down here pretty much at this point, right? Like I'm part Dutch.
Yeah.
I have heritages dating into. I found out because I was chatting with Granddad a few weeks ago, and he was going on about how, because one side of my family is really into that ancestry.com stuff or whatever, and doing all of that. Turns out I might have some Spaniard in me. Like this. But this is what might. Yeah. But you know what I mean, right? Like there's like it really kind of like emphasizes the fact that there's in terms of like homogeneity, right? You wouldn't say that New Zealand is like entirely Pākehā or entirely Maori or whatever. I don't like the term Pākehā because it has a negative connotation, but it's not a big deal. Everyone's sort of accepted it now. But yeah, no, it's one of those. I think it comes from like, I don't know if it's an Americanism, because I'm assuming this guy is American.
Yeah, let's safely assume he doesn't have really a noticeable English accent.
Yeah, he seems American. This feels like kind of an American.
Well, he did also put America as the counter of the Japan.
Yeah. So I feel like this is probably just coming from like an American kind of perspective of, America is supposed to be this melting pot, homogenized under one thing.
Yeah, I always feel that Americans are very keen on their heritage of either Irish or German or whatever.
Irish American, Chinese American, Asian American.
Yeah, because I know my heritage. It's Holland all the way down for like 500 years. See, that's the
thing. It's like I wouldn't call myself a Dutch New Zealander, right? Even though I'm half Dutch, right? Like I wouldn't call myself a Dutch New Zealander. I just call myself a Kiwi, right? Like,
yeah, let's also generalize America, who are all obsessed by their 1/8 German and 1/18 Swedish.
1/18 Swedish, yeah. So before we move on, Joshua was coming in the chat. Do you remember the tweet I put out with the sexy bird one? Yeah, I think you might have brought that up last time, and I said, yeah, it was fine. It was good. It was. It's a bit off topic, but it was fine. So anyway, let's. Well, we're only 17 seconds in, right? So let's.
Oh, he did make a wild accusation of Japan right away.
We've been triggered already, so this is probably going to be fun.
So what is a collectivist society? Basically, it's a society which cares more about the group than the individual. We can see...
Okay, is that true? That what it is? That seems a little simplistic. That seems a little simplistic.
I think that America might be a full-blown communist state if they have the death penalty that cares more about the community than the right to live of the individual.
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, this seems like it's gonna be.
It's a joke.
Like, it's not. It's a yeah. I feel like it's. Yeah, it's just. I'm like, that seems a bit simplistic. It seems a bit generalized there, but anyway,
yeah, no.
This in many.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It's hard. You can't really, if you want to make big generalized statements about how a society works, you really should have some big source for it, right?
Yeah. And you should also have clearly defined definitions, right? Because if he's the critique is real, Samu. Because the issue I have is, he's now he's defined collectivist society as a society that cares more about the group than it does about an individual. The problem is that could apply to many societies.
That applies about any society with police and rules are collectivist in the simplest way.
Yeah, you have to be like, I feel like when most people think about like a collectivist society to its logical end, they're going to think about like Soviet Russia and communist China as collectivist states. But I don't think Japan is on the same level as like communist China.
No,
or,
it
right?
really needs nuance. And
CCP.
I did some real quick check, and there are 0 sources or 0 credits in the description.
Boy.
So I mean, I believe
good.
I believe, of course, you can describe the Japanese society as more collectivist than the West. Even if
I would describe it. Yeah, it's more collectivist than individualist. That's for sure. But I just don't think it's like enough for you to make a massive blanket generalized term about it. Because this might be just us. This might be just us being pedantic and splitting hairs. But I feel like when you're making these kind of almost accusations, right? It's like you said, you kind of need to be able to back that up with some kind of backing, otherwise it just kind of falls flat.
Yeah, but he started with something like I already forgot, but he started Japanese producers, then he showed some factory shitting out something out of collective societies.
So Samu, the current points that have been made so far is Japan is a collectivist society team, and somehow that's going to have something to do with why anime dialogue is cringe. Apparently. So I want to see how he connects the dots here, because it sounds like it's going to be wild. But yeah, we're only 25 seconds in, so let's
things like overwork culture, where workers are expected to work unpaid overtime, or just the politeness that's expected in Japan, or
I didn't know politeness was a collectivist trait. I didn't know politeness was
Did you know? Did you know when Elon Musk took over the Twitter and it's he said you need to work harder, and I didn't think he said, and I will pay you overtime for it.
Yeah. How very collectivist of him.
Yes.
How very.
And I don't know.
Like,
I don't think
so like here's the thing, right?
Yeah, you first.
Hang on. I'll go first, right? Like, my thing here right now, 30 seconds into the video, is I feel like you could make an argument about, okay, how do the cultural differences affect the media that Japan produces, right? How can growing up in Japan, right, as an individual, such as a creator, right? How does that affect the way that things are created and produced and the artistic process of the average Japanese artist? That's an interesting conversation to have, right? And that would be a very interesting deep dive kind of idea. You would have to probably interview a lot of artists and get their stories and such to be able to do that. But it would be that would be interesting. But what he's doing right now is he's kind of doing the stupid version of that, where he's just kind of asserting, okay, Japan is a collectivist society, and all of these things are cultural differences from Japan to America. Therefore, that's all part of the collectivist society.
America doesn't have any overwork.
Yeah, apparently, apparently the Amazon guy in the wage cage is not being overworked.
He can go to the toilet whenever he wants.
Yeah, he's got a little toilet in his cage. What are you talking about? He's fine. he's hooked up to the wage cage. Yeah. And politeness or whatever. I mean,
yeah, I had something to say about politeness.
All right, I'll let you go.
Yeah, the politeness is Japan in that sense is I guess Japan is more focused on your reputation in that sense. And therefore, things that harm your reputation, your family, your workplace, your job, your prestige.
And you could make the argument that is tied to collectivism in some way, because it's more about how you appear to the group, right?
Yes.
How do you like the appearances that you give to not just on you, but your family and such. How do your actions reflect the group, and whatnot. So you could make the argument that is a collectivist, mindset in a sense.
That's also true for the Middle East and honor, where everywhere where honor is a thing.
Honor is a thing. Yeah, so I feel like it's a bit like the problem is it's too generalized, right? It's too. This is a core component of collectivism, of Japan's collectivist society, is that everyone is polite or whatever.
This is no sources. No, we don't have any sources right now.
Honestly, we don't. Well, we're just two idiots on a live stream, so. But I feel like if he just dropped the collectivism part, this probably wouldn't be so bad. Like if he just dropped that accusation and just stuck to cultural differences.
Hey,
right?
Japan is pretty weird. Let's go into
weird. Yeah. I mean, that would still be kind of cringe, right? But it would be. It would be more, it would be better, I guess. It would be less cringe than asserting, it's a collectivist culture.
Because you're making grand statements about how a country is, how a culture is. I mean, I could, of course, also say that the US culture is super, super vindictive and revenge-seeking and petty because they have the death penalty and whatnot.
Yeah.
So the death and revenge above all.
Which would be silly, yeah, which would be silly. But let's continue.
Trains showing up on time, but I think this culture and mindset leads to.
I know I'm pausing a bit, but the trains showing up on now. I do know that I think what he's referencing there is the fact that if a train is late, you typically would receive like a card on the rare occasion that it's late, so that you could go to your boss and you could say, "Hey, I'm late because the train fucked up. It's not my fault," right? And then you wouldn't get reprimanded or whatever.
Yeah,
but that just feels to me like I don't know. I don't know if I'd call that like collectivist.
Did you know if your train is late in the Netherlands, you get a free coffee?
Oh, based.
Yeah.
It's like down here. It's like down here. If I get some food delivered via not through Uber, because there's another one down here that I use, which is a Kiwi based one. It's kind of like Uber Eats, but it's a Pacific New Zealand one.
Mm-hmm.
You could if my delivery is late because the driver fucked off somewhere or whatever, and he took the long way or whatever, I get a free delivery next time. I don't have to pay delivery on the next one. So
that sounds very collectivist.
Very, very collectivist culture. That this is silly. Let's continue. We've kind of hammered home that point.
Yeah. People not really saying how they feel or not communicating in any meaningful way. I think you can see the extreme effects of this with hikikomoris and the declining birth rate. The way
that doesn't have anything.
He is talking about extremely complicated subjects that are way deeper than what he's letting on, and he's just kind of glossing over these things.
It's my personal opinion that the hikikomori phenomenon also exists in America, but
Oh, it exists everywhere. It's not just in Japan. It's
Also,
like, I know from personal experience.
and just for the chats, just for the audience, hikikomori doesn't mean you just stay in your own home. It more means you are shutting yourself off from society. That means you can go to work as a hikikomori, but you don't go out with your friends, you don't visit a cafe, you don't go to a sports center, you don't talk to anybody at work, you don't talk to anybody at school. It means you're closing yourself off. And it can be locking yourself into a room, or that can locking yourself off as a social being.
Right. So yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, these are very complicated things, right? Like the declining birth rates is another one, right? There's a lot of factors that go into that aren't just, oh, it's collectivist culture, that's why, right? Like, there's a lot of
Japanese. In this reading, in this interpretation, Japanese, the island of Japan has been a collectivist culture for over 1,000 years. So why is it collectivist culture causing the declining birth rates now?
Yeah, I feel like it's the problem. Yeah, this is the big problem I have with him is he's taking these super complicated fucking subjects that could have their own dedicated fucking videos, right, or streams just on the subject of the declining birth rates and why that might
or have some serious sources or something.
And the feeling I'm getting is he's trying to like tie that into, okay, anime dialogue sucks because of the fact that apparently every single Japanese person is like this, right? You know, like, which is fucking ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's so crazy. So yeah, let's continue.
Japanese people interact, and the culture behind it is undeniably different than ours. So it only makes sense that it would affect the way characters interact in Japanese media. This is just what I think though, so take it with a grain of salt. I'll get back to that, but now, I hate anime dialogue. There's
This video is so disjointed too. It's like he's jumping around and
well, it's only been one jump thus far, really, but it's kind of a...
Well, it's only been like, the video's like only a minute in, and it feels like I've fucking, like, we've been here for way longer than like...
Or like in half an hour, maybe?
not just in terms of us having the conversation, right? But like in terms of like the video feels like it's fucking... I don't know, it's weird.
It's out of his
depth. I don't like it.
Really, it talks about big societal things, and now he's going to relate it to something very so fluid as you know what the popular way to speak is, because you know you don't speak like how your parents did. Doesn't mean that that was the reason for that.
I have particular Kiwiisms that seep through sometimes. You know, I'll talk about, you know, stuff like I won't even know that I'm doing it, you know, because it's just that's how Kiwis kind of fucking communicate, you know, with swearing and saying the C word all the time, right? You know, like,
yeah, but if you go to it, if you just watch any TV program 20 years ago, you'll notice that they are using different words, different, you know, phrases, different analogies, comparisons than they do now. So
yeah,
how does this collectivist culture then determine how characters speak now in this moment, and how does it not affect or affect the way of speaking 20 years and 50 years and 100 years ago?
I can see why Joe got so triggered by this. I can see why Joe got so triggered by
Joe
this
from
video.
Pause and Select.
I did read some of his thread on Twitter, and it was he. Yeah. So dialogue in anime captures emotion, not realism. That is probably part of it. I know that the common thing with anime dialogue is that I think there's a lot of like, it's true that like Japanese in a normal setting is probably not going to be exactly like how people talk in anime, but it is probably hammed up a little bit. But at the same time, it's hard because Japan and English are not the same at all.
Yeah,
right?
but even
And
take any cartoon, any animated thing, people enunciate their words always perfectly, and they speak in clear,
You're
out
not
of their
gonna be.
chests. And I am just mumbling a bit,
Yeah.
talking English. This is how I
You're
speak.
not gonna be. You're not gonna be talking the same way like characters in SpongeBob or Family Guy are talking to people like in a normal setting, right? So I feel like this idea of you're Japanese, you can't learn Japanese from anime or whatever. While that is like probably true in terms of sentence structure and emphasization, right? You can still pick up
Well,
like
pronunciation in enunciations, I wouldn't take from anime.
Yeah, but you can still pick up on like umi means sea or whatever, like something like that, right? You can still pick up on things as you go. You can tell I've been doing some listening comprehension.
Hey.
I've been doing a little bit of for the last few months. I've been kind of working on that. I'm still learning. I'm gonna get there one day. But yeah, no, it's because the big difference from English to Japanese is Japanese has a lot of contextual. It's a very contextual language, and you have different ways that you will speak in different situations based on the context, right? So
Yeah, formal, informal,
informal,
and all that stuff.
Casual, and some words might mean you can put different, emphasize this emphasization. I actually this was one of the cards I got yesterday in my Aki. It was like about how you'll have you have kawaii and then you have kawaii, right?
Mhm.
So you have like the emphasization of kawaii, right, to make it more kawaii, right, and that kind of thing. Where so there's different. Yeah. This is again a bit off track, but the basic idea is right that when you're looking at the Japanese script from a script perspective, they're probably writing it in such a way that they want it to be as easy for them as Japanese to be able to understand what's going on, what the context of the scene is, what the emotions that are supposed to be felt are, etc., etc.
Yeah, I think I have another point, but that can come later.
Okay, well, we'll just respond to Magician of D, who says, "What does this guy mean? This is just what I think. Either Japanese culture affects the dialogue or it doesn't. It's an opinion directory." Yeah, that's another thing. That's a common thing people tend to do when they're not actually very sure of their position. Is they'll just kind of be like, "Oh, it's just an opinion. It's just my opinion, bro," and that is usually used as just a defensive shield tactic to be like, you can't. I mean, you can criticize it, but it's just my opinion. It doesn't matter, even though it does. It does matter, right? You either believe the things that you're saying or you don't, right? You can't just be like, well, I mean, it's opinion. And yeah, it's 650. Yeah, we just talked about how Japanese is very contextual.
Well, I wouldn't. I will push back a little bit to it on that because even English you have read and read kind of deal, right?
Yes.
Every language has the thing of contextual, and I can be rude. One sentence can be rude in one context and perfectly polite in another. It doesn't mean that every language has some of it. It's not that Japanese is particularly or uniquely special in being having contextual things.
Yeah. All right, that's fine. Let's continue.
Really good anime dialogue and there's really bad anime dialogue. I'm gonna try and compare them and explain where I'm coming from. First, let's look at good dialogue. Good dialogue should be like a game of tennis, with retorts bouncing back and forth and waiting the right amount of time to strike back. That means either waiting for the ball or jumping across the net and hitting it right away. A conversation shouldn't be linear, it should flow naturally from point to point. And it should
I don't know, because
yeah, that's kind of a weird.
Depends.
Yeah.
Nretsew, did you ever watch Euphonia?
I don't like the framing of like, oh, it's a competition, it's like a tennis match. Like we're talking right now, right? And we're kind of bouncing sort of off each other and each other's points and kind of, getting our points across one after the other, right? But I wouldn't say we're necessarily like in combat, right? This isn't a debate. Well, it's not a debate yet. It might turn into a debate if we get to a topic that's going to be contested, right? But we're not. It's not like I don't know. I feel like the issue more for me here is just his framing of it. I don't necessarily disagree that you do have, like, in a natural conversation, you have this sort of back and forth game that gets played where, one person speaks, the other person reacts, and then the other person's going to react to that, and then it's going to be, it kind of just goes from there. But that's not like that doesn't necessarily have much to do with, that's just going to be the case naturally, isn't it? Like, you can have bad you can have bad dialogue that does that. So
I mean, speeches and expositions. This is the first speech I can recall in anime. Is that the episode 0 of Witch of Mercury, or Grandel, if I remember correctly, big guy, big bad of the show early on.
Bad man, yeah.
Bad man. He's giving a speech, and it's a good speech. And things are happening during the speech that emphasize the things he is saying in the speech. So, what is that then? Bad dialogue? In the sense that if somebody is giving an impassioned speech, I mean, what's the Helsing, right? The I Love War guy, or
yeah, I fucking love war.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, I'm thinking more about Sundowner from Metal Gear Solid Rising. He's like, I fucking love war.
Yeah,
the good old days after 9/11. But similar.
A good
kind of
speech
thing,
is still, of course, a kind of dialogue, even in bodily reactions, stances, looks, and all that and whatnot. So I don't agree that it's kind of dialogue in general is a tennis match or whatever. I think it's but I wanted to talk about something slightly different. I mentioned this before, I believe. Have you ever watched Euphonia?
I've heard
Euphonia?
of it. I haven't. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I haven't watched it yet myself. So.
Yeah. So first season, you notice the show feels a little bit different from regular slice of life show.
Oh yes, you brought this up
because it's adapted from a novel, not a light novel, which means it has a different feel. Second season, they talk differently because they were instructed to talk less anime-like.
Yeah,
and you can hear that in the intonations and the voice that they use. So they put less of a voice on and use more of a regular voice for these characters, and I noticed that. And but they are still using the same. They're still using the same lines. The characters didn't change in the books between season 1 and 2. So it's only the pronunciation that changed and is a noticeable difference a little bit. But it's still the same characters. So it's I'm preempting some. The Japanese don't speak like this, of course not. But it doesn't. Even if they don't, it doesn't really change the characters all that much.
Right. So to get to Samu's points in the chat, this isn't related to the vid, but but why Japan anime / JP get so much shit online? Like, if we had to list a moral crap from each culture, not saying they're innocent, but it gets weird the amount of flack for Japanese cartoons. Like, I don't see people complaining about Korean dramas. Yeah. I mean, that kind of does get a little bit off the topic because I think there is this like, oh, Japan bad because Japan. What's the meme I like to use? I like to use the meme. It's like, phone shutter Namking train carts or whatever, because those are the things that everyone keeps bringing up constantly, right? So you just merge them all together. It's like phone shutter train cart NAMKINGPHONESHUTTERTRAINCARHENTAI. Like you just mix them all into one word, right? You just kind of those are all of it, because I think that people do give Japan a bit too much flack. Like in some cases, it's like you can criticize them for both actions in the past and the present that are perfectly valid, but some of the stuff people get, like the train cart one and the phone shutter one, is particularly interesting to me, because especially the phone shutter one, right? Because that one's like, they recognized a problem, right? They realized this was a thing that was causing problems, so they did something to solve the problem. Why would you get on their shit for solving the problem? Honestly, I think that everywhere should have that. Like, honestly, I think that having it be that phones have to have a physical phone shutter sound, not just from the perspective of, like, what's the term? There's a term for it. I can't remember what it is. I learned about it in Chrome studies. It was like, it's the reason why, even though emails are digital and not actually mail, right? The icon for an email is still a letter, right? It's still a envelope, right? Or it's like, in a lot of cases, we use icons and symbols that are based off old style. For, like a camera is still used for, like, photo editing software a lot of the time. Instagram had the icon of a camera, right? It's done because it creates like a mental consistency in your head, right? So having a phone shutter sound on a camera, even though the digital camera doesn't actually have a shutter in the traditional sense of it having I'm getting way off track. But basically, this idea that, Japan is bad because they did a thing to address a problem that they found within their society, I guess, TM, right? So it's the same with the train carts, right? The female-only train carts. Like, you could have female-only train carts in the West. No one, that would be like, it's so feminist that they give the women their own train carts to allow them to feel safe on the train, so they don't have to worry about, gross hobos or whatever, or whatever, right? If they did that in the West, that would be heralded as some great fucking achievement. But because Japan does it, it's suddenly bad, because Japan is just filled with billions of rapists or something, right? There's this weird, there are some really weird racist undertones and stuff around that kind of stuff. It's very, very weird nonsense.
Yeah, I do want I personally, in my own mind, but I'm sure other people do as well, I give America a weird flag for being weird with their military fantasies.
Yeah.
They're war movies where America comes in and saves the day, the entire world all on its own. I feel it's an inflated sense of overconfidence when they came in late in the World War II, and they saved the day all on their own. And then in every war movie since, from then until now, in every science fiction, America alone has the super tough guy and the super technology and the super smart people to save the world from aliens, from underground people, from evil terrorist nation.
Yeah.
America's weird like that.
Yeah, well, you have, but the thing is, it's different to be like, America's weird like that, and for you to be like, America is filled with rapists. You know what I mean? Like,
I can build the cultural imperialist and the general imperialist.
There is weird. My thing is, I'm just saying, there's like this weird like standard Japan is held to. It's like really, it's very weird. But to finish up, we'll finish off with Samu's last point, which was, like, I thought it was a case of the sexual culture thing, but then again, I could bring up shit like India and child brides. Yeah, like every culture has some shit like that where it's weird. But the thing that I get annoyed by, like I said, is Japan recognized that as a problem, and they are taking steps within their culture to address the problem. But for some reason, that's getting criticized, because rather than be like, they're actually trying things to see if it works to help address a problem that's cropped up. That's like, oh lol, they have to have separate train carts and phone shutters because they're all filled with perverts or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not. Yeah. I'm just repeating myself, but it's fucking. I hate it. I hate that.
Nah,
shit.
I can pull out my America treats the world as a colony of as an imperial colony of theirs and whatnot. In all of their war movies and movies in general, the Avengers can just come into Central Europe and take control and not
destroy an entire fucking city.
Yeah, because it's the American Avengers. They are in control here. Every government in the world should cede control to the American-backed Avengers. If Iron Man wants to fuck up everything with his lasers, then it should, because they are Americans and they have the rights to do so.
Alright, but anyway, let's continue.
Serve a purpose, whether that's making you laugh or informing you of what's happening, or making the growth of a relationship or characters believable. It should use characters' personalities and be believable that a character is saying it. It should also be efficient.
That was a fucking. Wasn't that like a really circular argument? It's like, oh, it should be like a character is saying it because a character should be saying it.
I believe it's more believable dialogue that the character would believably say.
I'm just confused.
It should be good.
It should be good, yeah. But what does that mean, my boy? What does that mean? The other thing I have is this is also probably going to be a bit of a tangent, but this idea that everything needs to have a purpose in a story, right? This is actually a relatively new thing that I've noticed a lot of zoomies on the Twitters and stuff kind of going on about, and it relates to the whole sex scenes in movies discourse, which I don't know if you know anything about, but there's been a lot of discourse around.
It's Twitter
There's
drama.
been a lot of discourse around. There's been a lot of discourse around it because there was some study that came out that indicated that people want less. They want to remove all sex scenes in movies or something. Like, the people don't want the sex in the movies. And from what I can gather, a big argument that people make about that is that they view the sex scenes as serving no purpose within the story, and it's a distraction from the narrative, right? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not failing to understand that, okay, you could make the argument in some cases maybe they just toss in a sex scene because whatever, right? However, what would the purpose of a sex scene necessarily be within a movie, right? It's to show intimacy between characters, right? If you're going to have a sex scene, it's to indicate, there is an intimacy here. They want to show that intimacy on screen. They want to show how these characters interact with each other, right? So there is actually a purpose to it, despite the fact that people will say that there's not a purpose to it. And I think it's the issue that unless something is specifically driving a narrative forward, they view it as useless, even though it's not actually useless. Right?
I think there are a couple of things, right? The wasting time, I feel, is more comes from more of a cinema kind of deal.
Yeah.
Cinema perspective, because at home you can pause it whenever you want. You're not really bound to any time, really. I do kind of agree that there was a time where every movie had a sex scene at this moment in a movie exactly.
But we're not in that time.
No, not anymore. I remember.
That's why I find it so weird that you have this push to be like, oh no, we have to remove all sex and sexuality from all of media because it's because of various reasons.
No, but if you say pointless sex scene in movie, I think of the Matrix, the first Matrix. At one point, there is suddenly a orgy in the city, in the real world city. Well, not kind of orgy, but people are having a rave half naked, and some not lots of upper body naked people are shown, and then there's a sex scene happening at the same time. Drumming up some primal instincts, I guess. And it's not like, Trinity and Neo are really any closer by the end, I feel. She's still alive for like another 2 movies, and they're not lovers at the end of the first or second movie, I believe. Not that I remember anyway. So I don't really feel that the relationship was helped by a sex scene, and it felt very formulaic when they included it. Well, like
I guess my thing with that is I don't necessarily like this idea of, unless it shouldn't exist, right? Unless it's specifically driving the plot, right? Because there are plenty outside of the sex scene stuff, right? You could have plenty of little moment, like I'm going to use kind of Star Wars as a bit of an example, right? Like you have the scene where they're getting ready to go and attack the Death Star, right? In New Hope. And Solo he's gotten paid, he's got his money, and he's about to bugger off, right? He's about to leave. And Luke they have a little bit of a dialogue exchange where Luke is kind of chastising Han for being like a coward or whatever, and being like, you got your money and now you're gonna fuck off, right? And it's being like, this, you're being dishonorable, and Han is being like, look, kid, I'm just here to get paid or whatever. That scene, you didn't have to have that scene there. It doesn't like drive the plot forward, but it highlights the difference between Luke and Han. Luke wants to be the hero. He wants to. He sees all these people that are about to get killed by this Death Star, and he wants to help, right? Whereas Han is the swashbuckling, selfish smuggler man who just wants to get paid and get out. He doesn't actually want to face the danger of the Empire. And of course, Han redeems himself in the end because he comes back, right?
Yes.
But that payoff doesn't come till later, does it? So you don't actually have the plot. That doesn't actually affect the plot until later. So just because something doesn't necessarily seem like it drives the plot at one point, there is a possibility that it could later. And I think another one of those scenes, actually very similar to that, was Luke meeting up with one of his old friends before the fight. And they have a really short conversation about, oh, hey, Luke, I remember you. Oh, yeah, I remember you too. I haven't watched New Hope in a long time. I don't remember the exact dialogue because it's been so fucking long since I've actually rewatched A New Hope. But they have this little dialogue exchange where it's just for character building and world building. It's just there for the purpose of this is them establishing that, hey, Luke, he can pilot, he can do things. We're about to go into this fight. It's establishing a tension because now it's like Luke has a friend in the fight who he's possibly going to lose, right? Because it's going to be actual combat and Luke is going to have to deal with that, right? So it creates a sort of tension in the story. So this idea that, unless it's the plot has to be driven forward 100% of the time by the dialogue. It has to push. It has to have a reason to exist. There has to be a hyper-specific reason. It's like, no. Sometimes it can just be there to add flavor. Sometimes it can just be there, to do some establishment of something else, right? So that will build on top of the actual narrative.
Yeah. So my main problem with the sex scene in the Matrix was that it felt very formulaic. Very it was inconsequential because the relationship didn't really change. It's been a while since I watched The Matrix also, admittedly, but I didn't really feel that the relationship really changed because of it. And it was perfectly at this exact mark in the movie where it was expected to be.
And you see, I'm not saying that criticism is like entirely invalid. There are definitely cases in movies and television and whatnot where you could say, hey, this has just been mandated into the work for whatever reason. Like they had to have a sex scene in there because the studio executives were like, oh, you need to have a sex scene in the movie or whatever, right? Like, I can understand that, and that is a valid criticism. I just think that people overuse that criticism to, like, they go to this extreme stance where it's like you can't criticize an individual film like you are, right? Because you're criticizing the Matrix's implementation of the sex scene, right? They'll then go one step further and say, okay, now all movies should never have sex scenes ever, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Which is just ridiculous because, like I said, you could have a sex scene in a movie for a number of different reasons, and you don't necessarily even have to justify it. But you can still have the criticism of, oh, it doesn't fit. So I want to address some
big Samu chats.
Big Samu chats, and we had Lays join in. The way people play Chekhov's gun these days is pretty boring. A lot of parts and stories, people can seem like filler. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I prefer to look at it in like individual cases rather than a generalized. There's too many sex scenes in movies. It's like, no. Like I would want to look at, okay, how does the movie actually implement the sex scene, and is there something to be criticized, like The Matrix, right, and with Ellie, right? So I guess that's what I'd say. Watching some of Rev's videos, there was a poll that said half of Gen Z didn't like sex scenes. Yeah, that's what I'm referencing. There was some poll or something that indicated that a bunch of Gen Zers or something didn't like sex scenes in movies, which I think is sad. Honestly, I don't think it's possible for something to add less to the plot. Let's say there's a beach episode, and in that beach episode, you can show how characters act in a beach, which builds character. Exactly. Yep, I agree. Like if they get embarrassed wearing the swimsuits in public. There was kind of something like that in Goblin Slayer recently, where they had I think that was the episode I talked about last week, where they had like the female characters get into swimsuits. It's like they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to be swimsuits, but they got into swimsuits anyway, right? And you got to see how they kind of react to that. These little things build character. Yep, I agree with Samuel there. Perfect example was there was a filler episode in Fairy Tail where the characters swap bodies. It does nothing to portray how the character, it does nothing but portray how the characters would act if they had to live in each other's lives. It's all right, Sammy. We don't mind the rants. It's all good. And then Magician of DC's contrary stance, the sex scene is the only important part in every movie. We should remove everything else instead.
Nretsew.
Agreed.
If it would make the sex scenes better, because they're all very bad. If they were forced to make the sex scenes better.
Yeah. Agreed. Right, and on that note, let's get back to the video.
Something that recent comedy films keep doing is over-talking. This is a ridiculously lazy, unfunny, and cringe joke, where they repeat things and just keep talking and think it's funny. Anyway, a good example of...
No examples?
So, I don't know. I don't watch enough comedy movies, so I don't have a frame of reference for this. So I can't really comment.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost because
he really should have put an example in. Maybe he's trying to avoid copyright strike, which could, I can understand, but like, I feel like he needed to have some kind of actual example there, because I don't actually watch a lot of movies these days, or I don't have the time to sit down and watch a lot of movies these days. So I don't, I'm not,
Well, he was showing comedy series or comedy movies, I guess. But if I just recall, if I go back to the last movies that I saw in the big theater, it's one of the Marvels, one of the more superhero Marvel movies, and I dropped out after the Endgame movie whenever Thanos went into dust.
Big Thanos dust snap. Yeah.
When he was gone, I also fell out of. I snapped away with the Avenger. With the Marvel superheroes, and for all the funny quips that they have, they don't actually do that all that often. I felt. It's, yeah, of course they had the quips, but then there was some, cool, super cool epic CG fight as well. So it was alright.
Yeah,
with the funny dialogue.
I guess, yeah.
And this,
like I said, Oh, sorry, I'll leave.
And the other movie was really Cold Pursuits, and there half of the comedy is when people don't respond to something that's happening. So
yeah, I don't have a frame of reference, so I can't really make a comment on it. So
yeah, and then there is
Dialogue.
I didn't warn you. I unfortunately sometimes see small bits of Rick and Morty. I try to avoid it, but it still somehow finds its way to me sometimes when YouTube Shorts play automatically without my consent.
You're getting sexually assaulted.
By Rick and Morty and YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
They talk a lot, but not really over each other, and they don't repeat themselves a lot. It's also a lot of gross and visual comedy in that show. And if I have to believe that modern comedy is all the same, then I have to believe that all comedy is like Rick and Morty, and therefore all comedy doesn't talk all the time.
Right. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a frame of reference, so I can't really comment. So I'm just gonna keep going.
But if it comes up tails, you forget about the fight and you both come with me. Are we clear on this?
Give me that.
This scene in Samurai Champloo has really good dialogue. It doesn't waste your time and it's entertaining. You can learn.
Was that entertaining?
It was just dialogue. It was just fine. It was good. I wouldn't say it was like fantastic or anything. It was fine.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why it was entertaining, I guess, was that there was a fun movement with the hand in the coin, panning over to the next person.
She's like, I'm gonna flip the coin, and if you're gonna forget the fight if I win the coin flip. And then he's like, no, I'm gonna throw the fucking coin. That's less like, I don't know if that's just dialogue. There's more going on in that scene than just like, oh, it's a fun like quip or whatever. Right?
I mean, like, if you want dialogue and comedy, there's Konosuba. I showed a little clip where Kazuma responds to every mention of his name with "Yes, I am Kazuma," completely ignoring the context and sensibilities of the situation for a self-serving and I don't really care attitude. Yeah, that's a funny. And it is not a lot of words, and it is a back and forth, I guess. Well, it's more of a, somebody passes up and then he gets smacked in the face.
Alright, let's continue.
So much from these characters, just from this short amount of dialogue.
Was that really?
Are we clear on this?
From this, you immediately learn that this girl is strong-willed, demanding, maybe a bit selfish.
This is not, I am very sure, this is not her first appearance in the scene. This is not she doesn't suddenly appear in the anime, says this, and then that's the entire character.
Yeah. My problem I've got here is if we're gonna look at this in a vacuum, right? Which is what he's kind of doing here, is he's looking at this one scene in a vacuum. He is extrapolated a fuckload of a lot from woman butts in to do a coin flip and says that if she wins, they gotta forget the fight and come with her. Like that's like he is fucking extrapolating a whole lot out of that one little bit of dialogue.
She could just be a complete bitch and wants everything to go out to her will and what she wants.
She could have just fucking popped out of thin air, and these guys have no fucking idea who she is. Like there's no, like, yeah, he's extrapolating a whole lot. Yeah, Samu says, there's no way you could get that impression with how she said that. It's, and also, yes, this is the English dub too, which is another thing to consider. Which we, I feel like, he is fucking.
He's biased. He has a bias and expect us to have the same bias when it's revealed neither of us watched this show. We don't know any other context, and that's not what we immediately get from this character.
No. But anyway, let's continue.
Mugen crudely saying,
Give me that.
shows he's more wild and vulgar, and this is consistent throughout the series.
And not because he's dressed like a hobo, that he doesn't shave, that his hair is unkempt.
Give me that. Like, yeah, he is fucking extrapolating a lot out of one fucking line.
There's this the black-haired guy, the old black-haired guy, the guy with
and he seems more, I don't know,
reserved, whatever.
Calm,
if he
chill.
said that, he could harbor a hidden beast within him or whatever, or a bodyguard.
He is a tamed beast with an internal dark soul of those. See, I can do it too. You see, like I can extrapolate bullshit, out of my ass.
Nah, he watched the show and he knows the scene before and after and during, and he puts those characterizations in because he already knows the characters, not because this scene sets up this characterization.
Or just that he's tired of this random girl. You'd be happy to take orders from a random chick who's squabbling with a dude. This is silly.
Scene with lines like,
kiss my ass.
The amount of lines each character gets also serves to show their character. The girl with the most
God. Man, he needs to work on his own fucking dialogue. Go listen to that again, because I don't know. Let me hear that again.
Kiss my ass.
The amount of lines each character gets also serves to show their character.
All the lines that each character gets also helps to show their character.
I will translate it and say how much a character speaks shows a portion of their character, or something like that.
It's the way that he worded that was kind of
how much a character likes to speak is also a part of their character.
But the way he worded that was very awkward. Like maybe he shouldn't be talking about anime dialogue if he can't sort his own. Like, he's got to. Let me get my Jorden Patterson impression going. He has to. Oh fuck! I can't even do. What's it, Kurama? It's like you have to clean your room, Bucko. Have to clean your own room, otherwise you're going to be lost, and that's dangerous for a young man to be lost. You must clean your own backyard before you can start to criticize others.
But Peterson, I live in an abusive household. I don't have the mental capacity.
Tough luck, Buggo. You must clean your room. Clean it. You have to begin with your own issues.
If I do that, will my parents stop being abusive to me?
You need to be abusive to your parents. No, but anyway, but you get what I mean, right? It's like you need to clean your own shit before you can start criticizing other shit, in a sense, right? And I know that's kind of ironic coming from us, but it's, I would expect a guy who's making a video all about dialogue to be able to word things in a much more articulate way than, because to me it sounded so circular. It's like the amount of lines a character gets means that the characters have more character, and it's like, yeah, no shit. No shit.
Nah.
Obviously, if a character, but what if it's like, what if it's like a silent character that doesn't fucking say anything? Do they get more character because they're not saying anything? Yeah, actually they do, because it means that they're quiet. Like that is a character trait. That is characterization. So it's like, yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, also, y'all want a vid shitting on Demon Slayer. I don't even like Demon Slayer, but the dude maybe want to defend it more. When Ellie puts out the announcement things for the streams, which he was kind of late in doing this time around, but
scheduling was a thing.
Doing that. scheduling was a thing, you can always link those videos or recommendations in those posts if you do that, because then we'll see them.
Yeah. But also neither of at least I
Well,
haven't watched.
I watched the first. Oh, excuse me. I watched the first season of Demon Slayer.
I don't
so
know
have
anything
enough.
about the Demon Slayer and how many demons are
I
slayed.
have, I would have enough kind of knowledge.
Then we could do the reverse Eromanga Sensei.
Maybe, yeah. But no, if you link it in the announcement posts, that's probably the best way to get the videos.
Every
to us,
single one,
don't...
so that you get the engagement up.
Yeah. No, because it's easy for us to see, and they stay there pretty much forever. So it's better than losing them in like the stream chat or comment sections or whatever. So yeah. If you ever have a video like that you feel would be good, I mean, it doesn't guarantee we'll get to it, but we will probably add it to
the big list
that we've got. Yeah, the big list we're formulating of videos that we can cover. But anyhow, I guess getting back to circular logic, man.
Girl with the most lines is clearly the most upbeat and talkative, while the
again, that's not that correlation does not equal causation.
Well, he does say that
right?
the characters who talk the most are talkative.
Well, no, but that's not what he said there. That's not what he said there. Listen again.
Also serves to show their character. The girl with the most lines is clearly the most upbeat and talkative.
The girl with the most lines is clearly more upbeat and talkative. That isn't necessarily the case. Just because they have more lines doesn't necessarily that maybe they're a main character. The main character is going to have more lines than the side characters because they're on screen for more of the show, right? So just because a character has more lines doesn't actually indicate anything necessarily about their personality. They could be a what would be an example of this? It's just weird. It's just weird because he's putting because they talk more in the show, that means they have this personality. It's like not necessarily.
And there are a bunch of shows and whatever that have the main character talk less and then a side character, a sidekick character.
Yeah. There's reverse of that too. That's what I'm kind of getting at. It's like it's not like he's creating these hard and fast rules when there's not hard and fast rules.
No, I mean this is pure speculation on my part, but I would think that in the Sherlock books, there are chapters or stories where Watson talks more than Sherlock because Watson is going, "Oh, the detective, what's going on over here? I think this is going on." And then Sherlock goes, "But oh, Watson, this is the reason why." And then it's one explanation while Watson had 1,000 theories.
Yeah. Alright, let's keep going.
While the guys stay more silent, showing how they're more serious or have seen more hardship. This scene...
Yeah, you see what I mean, right? You see what I mean? It's like, oh, the silent guy is showing that he's seen more hardship and he's more reserved and it's like, well, what if he's just fucking quiet?
If he's just on his phone the entire time, he's a fucking nerd who only talks to his guys in chat.
Yeah, like again, it's hard fast rules when there's no hard fast rules. You can't fucking make these fucking yeah.
Clearly shows characteristics and moves the plot forward. The dialogue is efficient and feels bouncy, with comebacks coming at the right time. You can clearly feel their unique personalities and how they bounce off of each other. Now let's take a look at bad dialogue in anime. A staple of bad dialogue in anime is nani? And lots of, it can't be, blah, 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 blah. This is bad.
I feel like this is kind of a generalization. Just a little bit.
I feel like he's like, this is the most exaggerated meme idea of what anime dialogue is like, right? The whole like, how could you do this? It's like, they think that like Dragon Ball Z is representative of like all anime or something, right? And that's
Also,
not to say Dragon Ball
Nretsew.
Z's that's not me saying Dragon Ball Z's dialogue is bad or cringe or whatever. I'm just saying that they have this like mind virus or whatever that's like all of these shonen animes are just guy going, oh, how could you do this, I'm going to punch you, rah! And then the guy's like, no, you can't punch me because I have my special move. What do you mean special move? I'll show you, rah! And they do, you know, and but it's like or to use the alternative example that he uses, it's like, oh, senpai, kimochi. Oh, I'm in love with senpai, but he doesn't notice me. But I'm mean to him because I like him. No,
Nretsew, how many? Maybe to counter a future point of his. How many standard sentences, phrases do you have for a situation?
Depends.
If somebody falls behind you. Something falls over behind you.
I'll be like, oh shit, what the fuck was that?
Oh, that sounds very much. That's Nretsew. That's not original at all.
Yeah,
that's so standard. It's so generic.
Heaps of people would say, "Oh shit, what the fuck is that?" or "Oh, what the hell?" or "Ah, what's that?" Oh no, I don't want my priceless antique vase to fall on the ground or what, you know, like it's this is fucking ridiculous.
No, my grandfather's ashes or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever. Oh no.
Oh no, the sacred sword. This is basically the same thing.
I need to remember to set my Discord to do not disturb when we're doing.
Oh, you do.
I'm getting pinged.
Not doing your game testing job.
Well, no, I don't have a game testing job. What are you talking about? That's not for that. It's someone else picking. Just boop. There we go. I'll just say doing things. There we go.
Yeah, but so but this is well, like I said, counter a future point. He's criticizing standard lines in anime, and of course they're standard. I guess it's fine, but reality has a bunch of standard phrases. A standard thing, standard reaction things that you say.
And when you start learning Japanese, you tend to find out that there are, you know, different ways that you can say things, but a lot of them do tend to kind of, you know, they use the same words for a lot of things, you know. Or it's like you'll have, you know, like obviously you're going to hear like senpai and kun. And, you know, like those words are going to come up a lot because those are the words they use to describe those things.
Yeah, but you're calling your boss, your boss is still called boss in whatever language you have.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like, yeah, you'd still call your boss. You'd still call your upperclassman your upperclassman. You'd still call, like, your friend your bro or whatever, right? Like, there's there might be slightly different variations depending on the context. But a lot of the time, yeah, you're gonna hear the same words over and over, but that's just because that's the word that you use for that, you know. So, yeah, this is like saying all dialogue is just, you know, reuse stuff from The Office. Yeah, it's silly. It's silly.
Because it doesn't give any real insight into what the characters are thinking or who they really are. When dialogue should be an opportunity for characters to express themselves and their personalities, and bond with other characters and grow a believable relationship. But we learn absolutely nothing from this kind of dialogue that's so prevalent in anime. And here,
this sounds to me like he wants every single character to be like bombastic, like dude in high school who's just an ordinary high school guy who might have like some personality traits, but he's not like hyper autistic or whatever, right? Like, he's gonna probably just speak like a normal fucking person. He's not gonna be like hyper exaggerated, you know, using different language or whatever to get his point across. He's gonna just talk like a normal dude, you know? And there's not a problem with that.
Yeah, how much more is there in the video, Nretsew? Spoil me.
Well, we got like we were 3 minutes into a 10-minute video.
Oh no, I will save my
yeah,
points
yeah,
for
yeah.
later.
Oh, yeah. Oh no. Oh no. yeah. Oh no. Like but my problem is like, yeah, not every character is gonna be like Kazuma from Gurren Lagann, because Kazuma is Kazuma from Gurren Lagann. Like, you're not gonna have every character be this bombastic.
Kamina.
You know, maybe not exactly like Kamina, right? Like, maybe they'll be like a different kind of character archetype or whatever, but they're not going to be like an exaggerated character archetype. A lot of the time, people are like, characters are just going to be normal, right? They're just going to be like, especially in the context of, let's say, like a slice of life, you know, setting in like a high school or whatever. A lot of characters are just going to be relatively normal outside of maybe like a couple of quirks or something. You know, like the characters in like Love Live, right? I haven't watched Love Live. I'm just using that off the top of my head, right? They're all high school girls, right? And they all have their own like somewhat unique personalities, but they're not like going to be super duper exaggerated, you know? Like, they're still going to be high school girls. They're still going to talk like high school girls. There's going to be conversations that they have with each other that are normal conversations that are not going to be hyper exaggerated. So I feel like this criticism is just really silly to me, because he seems to be asking for everything to be like, you know, Samurai Champloo or whatever, or, you know, Kamina from.
So I maybe I have something to cap this off for the moment. It's not completely related in concept, but there is this idea that you do work, right? Engineers.
Kazuma from. Yeah.
So you do work, and apparently most of the time, or it was only in engineering, whatever. Only 20% of your work is productive, makes it into the final product. 80% of the work isn't. Like to behind the scenes stuff for all you viewers, I made a very fancy thing which Nretsew apparently can't use. So all the
all of that work for nothing.
For nothing. But I can use that 20% of my experience to make the thing that is actually going to be appear on the channel at some point.
Channel spoilers. I may or may not be looking into doing clips at some point. We will be experimenting with doing stuff like that, hopefully.
Yeah. So, but I did a lot of work that most of the time a good deal is wasted. But the 20% is important. But I couldn't get to that 20% without doing that 80%.
Yeah.
So the standard dialogue that doesn't move the plot, as he says, still is, you can't do without it. That's what I want to convey here.
Yeah. You need to have those in between moments where it's like, you know, it's just chill conversation. You know, it's not you know, hardcore debate, bro, or whatever. Like, you need to be able to have that stuff. So yeah, anyway, let's continue, because I want to get through this video. This is slogging me down, because a lot of it is like, I'm just kind of repeating the same thing.
Well, we know we both have an allergy against these authoritative statements of facts.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So we're kind of getting triggered a little bit. So let's see if we can just try and not pause right away.
Here's where this links with Japanese culture.
Oh, no.
Japanese people will often talk like that, where the reaction to something is just, really? Sugoi desu ne? That is how people talk, but to anyone outside of Japan, that may seem extremely forced and repetitive. It's boring and doesn't do much.
We lasted 5 seconds.
I didn't mean to predict the future. It wasn't my intent to predict the future when I said that people in real life, that people in real life have standard things that they say.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Japan isn't alone in having standard things that these people say.
Yeah. Alright, let's continue.
Much to show someone's personality. And that's because Japanese society doesn't want you to have a personality. And it just makes conversations not flow very well in anime. And this gets worse the more anime you watch. Seeing the same default responses in anime over and over completely
I can't even begin to fucking explain how wrong this is.
This is some mad Orientalism.
Yeah, this is some mad shit. God damn. Oh, Ali, did you know that the Japanese language is boring?
That all Japanese, that the Japanese don't have a personality.
Yeah, did you know that Japanese people have no personality because they all use the word senpai?
Nretsew,
Did you know that? Did you know that English is a boring language because we all use the word teacher to describe someone? To describe someone that teaches you things?
No, Nretsew, the definite of the English language is bruh.
Bruh!
Any situation,
bruh.
you just say bruh. No personality, nothing of content, nothing of me.
Yeah, bruh. Yeah, bro. Homie.
Empty words means nothing. You don't have a personality.
Means nothing. Oh my god. I want to try and be constructive, but it's really hard. Because I can't. I shouldn't have to explain how fucked this is.
It's just casting such a wide it's the Orientalism in a super academic sense of the word.
Yeah.
The other, the exotic, the other, the thing on the stage, the thing to be.
But it's it's kind of like in reverse of like people that will idolize it, right? This is like the inverse. It's like no, it's boring. It's fucking...
I have never seen such a hard Orientalism.
Yeah, this is oof. All right. Let's recover. We got to take some breaths. Take some breaths. Calm down. Let's keep going.
Characterless conversations. But this feels more like a problem with anime in general rather than just dialogue. The characters, art style, the plot are all recycled and become emptier and emptier with each new recycled anime. So is this bad dialogue just because of the differences in culture? No, I don't think so. Because movie dialogue shouldn't be exactly like real life, and it's not like Japanese people are robots.
Oh no,
wait a minute.
I hope that wasn't Abe.
He just no, wait a minute. Didn't he just say, oh, the Japanese language, they use the same things all the time.
The real life Japanese people just say
they're not robots though.
They have no personality, they just say the same words without meaning. Japanese society doesn't want them to have a personality.
But they're not robots, though. They're totally not robots. Like, you fucking... Is this guy for real right now? And he's like, yeah, movie dialogue shouldn't be the same as, like, normal dialogue. And I'm like, yeah, so what do you want about? It's like, I'm at the point where I'm like, does this guy even actually like anime? You know, I get this a lot, right? Like, it's like, I get the feeling a lot of these people, like, they claim they like anime, but I don't think they do.
We had this discussion sometimes, like, they like the thing, but they would like the thing more if this one thing wouldn't be there.
Yeah, but this is kind of different to that, because he's like his criticism is just like, oh, anime is stale and trash and it's repeating the same things over and over
he did go very broad with the art style and the dialogue and the characters.
But at that point, it's like, if those are your, like, do you really actually like anime then? Like why are you, like, because I think what happens is these people confuse liking Pacific animes with all anime, right? Because clearly he likes Samurai Champloo, because he's used that example a couple of times. So he likes that. And then it's okay if you just like Samurai Champloo or Gurren Lagann or, you know, Fullmetal Alchemist or whatever, and then you don't like I don't know, K-On! Or Love Live or, you know, Dr. Stone or, you know, whatever, right?
Classroom
Like
of the Elite or whatever. I think that's the female.
Yeah, whatever anime, right? It's okay to just not like those shows, but to generalize all of anime as having this problem, I feel is very reductive and just wrong. It's because he's tossing in the stuff that he claims to like in that umbrella because it's all fucking anime, right? So I hate these like overgeneralized ideas of all anime is bad. You know, I claim that I like it, but I'm gonna go on about how it's all terrible, it's all trash, it's all fucking, you know, just bad stuff. But no, I totally like it though. I'm totally an anime fan, guys. I hate it. I just hate it. Have you got anything else to add before we continue?
No, it's just weird that he's talking. The Japanese people are all the same and have no personality, or it's explicitly banned by the government itself to have no personality, to have a personality.
Yeah.
Anime all looks the same. They all talk like trash, and all the characters are the same generic stuff. Let's see how he walks back from all those statements.
Yeah.
Part of why anime is so popular in Japan is the escapism it gives them. Most of the popular anime characters are outspoken and give interesting dialogue and have personalities. And that's maybe because they can't be out-
Oh, no. Okay, no, let him finish.
Spoken in daily life. So why is there this
Yeah, okay, yeah, they totally can't be outspoken in daily life. Yeah, no, totally. It's not like when you go to work, Ali. Like Ali, when you go to work,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you go do your job, right? Do you walk into the office in like a top hat and you got big anime t-shirt on and big you know, big shoes and you got your samurai katana. You know, you walk in in a trench coat and a katana and a fedora, and you're a big anime Chad man, and you walk in and you're super assertive, and you're like, we're gonna do things this way today because I am the big anime protagonist Chad.
Well,
right?
I'll tell you exactly what I'll do. I'll wear my jacket, my safety, high visibility jacket. I'll wear a hard hat. I'll wear ear protections. I'll have my. I'll open up the.
You'll get your work.
My instructional manuals, and I'll operate as according to these instructions. Otherwise, the things I will do aren't valid to be done.
Yeah. So are you going to be super outspoken about it? You're going to be be hyper.
The thing is, the real thing though. My part of my job is to tell other people they aren't doing their job. So if I see other people aren't doing their job, my job is to be outspoken and tell them they're not doing their job.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like what he's complaining about. It's like the escapism, right? Like that. It's annoying because again, it's like that's fucking true everywhere. Marvel movies are escapism for people in the West. You know, Star Wars is like everything is fucking escapism, right? It's all escapism. There's nothing wrong with it being escapism, right? And I don't think that the reason that anime is the way it is solely because of the Japanese people are so oppressed by their work culture, so they all want to make these things. Like maybe that is the case, but as I've said many times on the show, right? These guys remove the individuality. It's ironic actually because he's going on about how the Japanese are all soulless, don't have personalities, robots or whatever. But it's ironic because what these people, like these YouTubers, do is they remove the individual factor from these artists and authors, and they just talk about anime as if it's just something that Japan shits out. You know, there's no person behind the curtain drawing, outside of the well-known ones like Oda or Ano or whatever,
Ito,
the ones that
whatever.
everyone knows about. yeah, the ones that everyone knows by name because they're so famous. There's no, like, you don't hear about people talking about, you know, the creator of, you know, Shield Hero or Overlord, or, you know, who was the creator of, I don't know, Black Clover or something, you know, like that. No one talks about, like, okay, what actually inspired these people to make what they want to make? You know, why did they do things the way that they did things? What are the actual reasons behind it? It's not this, like, monolithic thing, right? You know, and I feel like this is the big problem with these kinds of videos and these kinds of people, is they don't factor in the fact that at the end of the day, they're just fucking people.
Yeah,
just
but also
people.
I really need a good definition, or you know, a more in-depth definition of what escapism is supposed to be, because it's always it's such a nebulous thing. It's a bit more nebulous than his concept of Japanese culture.
I'm honestly at the point where I think when people like this, you know, bring up escapism, especially on other internet discussions, they literally just mean thing that I don't like, that I want to demean. Because 9 times out of 10, it's brought up as escapism is bad for whatever reason. You know, so they'll be like, oh, this is just escapism. Dismiss it, you know, like, oh, it's just, you know, it's escapism. Like, there's a
Yeah,
negative
but
connotation. There's a negative like, I agree with you that it's nebulous, but the thing that I've picked up on is that that's why they slap that negative connotation to it.
yeah, but I
Right?
just want for my
And
it's more for myself more than anything else.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
if people start complaining about the male gaze or whatever, I know what the male gaze is or supposed to be, so I have something to compare it to the usage in the video. But I don't have any comparison in the regards of escapism. So
Yeah.
I have no idea how I should even judge its use, or how negative or positive I should look at it.
Well,
Right, but
me being the man that's less of the big fancy pantsy academic and more of the vibes, right? More of the vibes. The vibe that I get is that escapism is bad because it distracts people from being politically activated a lot of the time, especially when you're talking with people that are talking about it in an academic political sense. When you're criticizing escapism, a lot of the time they're criticizing the fact that it is distracting people from going out and doing protests or whatever, right? I see that a lot online, especially on the hell site that is X, right? You'll have people that'll be like,
it's Twitter. Don't dare to call
yeah,
it X.
yeah, I did that just to trigger you.
How dare you?
on the Twitter. People on the Twitter will be like, oh, this we can't have escapism in media because escapism is stopping the communist or the fascist revolution or whatever. Because it's not just the communists. Like, I'm going to preface that the fucking tradies have been doing this as well, right? The tradies will be going all on about how, oh, all of this anime is degenerate and it's stopping people from getting out there and being alpha Chad man or whatever, right? So it's not just the lefties that are doing this, right? So they want to demean escapism because in their mind it stops people from joining their cause, right? Because they're content with the way that things are, so they don't want to push for things to be more, you know, in one direction or the other. Which is where I think this negative vibe is coming from when it comes to escapism. Now, is this guy in particular using escapism in that way? Not
Nah.
necessarily. Not necessarily. However, I do get this idea that because he's bringing up, like, oh, the Japanese are in this society where they're super, super oppressed by everything around them. They have to work 50-hour work weeks or whatever, and then they go, you know, they have to go and do whatever. So they only have so much free time, and they need to escape from the harsh realities of the world. Therefore, all of this anime is escapism because it's allowing them to escape from their daily works or whatever. And the counter to that is, yes, everything is fucking escapism. What the fuck are you talking about? You know?
Yeah,
So
I spent your rant looking at the Wikipedia the definition.
Yeah, we have someone in the chat who has given us a definition as well. So, escapism is defined as something not reminding you of your daily life, but more out of that and unrelated to your daily life.
The better.
The more, and that's pretty. I would say that's pretty accurate. Yeah, bread and coffee comes in and says, "Well, isn't escapism bad? A general academic thing? Bread and circus. Yeah, you could relate it to bread and circus, which is a common argument used, which is kind of what I just had my rant about, right? Where there's this idea of if because people are content, it stops them from rebelling or whatever. If anime didn't exist, I'd be a racist on the internet. So anime helped out a lot." I know you're joking, Sammy. Don't worry, but that's pretty good.
Nah,
anyway.
I don't see any.
I'll let you finish off the point, then we'll move on.
Yeah, on my personal discovery of what Escapesim actually is, Wikipedia doesn't really. It's just not your daily life, and it can whatever, and that's fine. And I don't think that Japan is particularly escapist, from what I never really got that. We're talking about anime and the mangas, but it isn't like the entirety of Japan watches anime and manga. It's still a subculture. It's still not a serious hobby. So I would say that movies like America are more of part of mainstream culture. The Marvel movies again are more part of mainstream culture than the animes, the anime series that airs at 1 at night.
Yeah.
So the Marvel movies are also as escapism. So I don't. So to circle back to this video, no, anime isn't. Just by virtue of anime not being as mainstream as the Marvel movies, there are not the escapism for the Japanese people for having no personality as dictated by the government.
Yeah. So to cap off, slice of life anime can be escapist as long as the story isn't about current event, whatever the news cycle is. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Escapism, again, it's one of those. It's like we said, it's nebulous. It can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Something that's escapist to one person might not be to another. And then otaku is just a general word for nerd in Japan. There's military otaku and stuff. Yeah, that is also true. It's just a general term. So anyway, let's continue.
Bad dialogue. The cause could be that a lot of anime have completely soulless and rushed productions. Just look at the plain direction of isekai anime with the reused designs and environments and ideas.
We can never escape.
We could never escape.
Never escape. It's always.
Know that the wave of villainous isekai is here.
Yes. All of those hot lesbian villainous isekais have arrived.
Yes. All those same all those ladies that they died from overworking in Japan, reincarnated as villainesses or villainous adjacent characters in their otome games.
And they're horny as shit.
all just black-haired character, all black-haired males, all those villainous protagonists.
Yeah, so like it's interesting because he's kind of just listing off the memes, right? Because there's always the meme of yes, anime production is
too rushed, too hard.
Productions too rushed. They're not getting paid enough. They're not getting fair wages. I mean, there's the meme going around right now about Mappa, being a shithole to work at. That's a current meme that's going on right now. There's all of this stuff, and it's like while all of this has a hint of truth to it, right? There is definitely problems within the industry that need to be addressed and talked about. I feel like he's being reductive about it.
What does this have to? How does it relate to anime dialogue? Right?
Yeah, because you could make the argument that because of the rushed production schedules, it means that the dialogue gets pushed aside.
But the dialogue is already in the light novels, in the web novels, in the visual novels, in the games.
Yeah, exactly. So it's and bringing back the whole soulless isekai is everywhere meme that we already kind of debunked a couple of casts ago. Like
Well, debunked as if we're a debate stream.
yeah, with base debunk fact check. I mean, we went through the anime season, and it's like, yeah, only what 25% or whatever, it was like, or 6% or something.
Yeah,
I can't remember what numbers you said. It's like, oh yeah, only 6% is isekai. It's like fucking minuscule amount of anime. So I think people don't care as much about the poor working conditions as they say they do. Yeah, I think a lot of it's virtue signaling. I think a lot of people. This is coming from someone I remember a number of years back. I donated to Anime Dormitory Project, so it's I feel like a lot of people it's just virtue signaling.
nah, this is not even virtual sig. This is just another bad.
No, he's not. He's not. I'm just addressing the comment in the chat that
I saw, but
because Coffee's saying that he doesn't think that people care as much about the working conditions as they say they do online, right? And I actually agree with him. I think that a lot of it is people just wanting to virtue signal about how poor, the poor animators. I'm so pro worker and workers' rights, and I want to support the poor animators. I have to bring awareness about it, but they don't. They're not. Are they really doing anything about it? Like what is just it feels sometimes like it's virtue signaling. Yeah, and people bring it up as like a slam towards anime they don't like. Like there'll be an anime that comes out that they don't like, and they'll just be like, it's those poor animators. That's why it's so bad, or whatever.
I mean, people right now love everything that Mappa makes, right?
But the meme, right? Yeah, but the meme right now is that Mappa is like a fucking sweatshop. So.
Yeah, so the anime studio, all the best anime of the season comes from Mappa, and the Mappa is the soulless sweatshop right now.
And it's ironic because the very same shit was being said about UFO Table. So
I mean, that doesn't mean it isn't true and isn't true now.
No, yeah, it doesn't mean it's not true. It's just I'm just saying that I think people. Yeah, I think a lot of it is virtue signaling. But anyway, let's continue.
People mainly point out isekai for this issue, but it's affected all of anime. The second most of which I think is romance anime, where character interaction is arguably the most important in making relationships believable. With the Samurai Champloo scene, the dialogue would make you believe that these characters want to be with each other / not want to be with each other. But so many friendships.
My one quick issue right now is that he's showing a lot of anime from a very wide time span, from a very Zero Tsukaima came out, was it in 2010 whatever 12 or whatever, and now he did his, I believe, what was it called again?
I don't remember.
The show where the guy, Everything That Makes Me Whole, start the OP that starts with Everything That Makes Me Whole. No.
While you're thinking about that, I'll address Redox chat where he says, if only they knew how much blood any old masterpiece Hollywood movie went through, and people don't throw this at them. Yeah, that's I mean, if we're going to talk about like old productions, I believe Wizard of Oz, the original movie, one of the actor, I think it was the witch, she like to get her green, they used like this copper paint, and I think she had issues for the rest of her life because of that paint having to be painted with this copper paint that made her green. People don't think about that now. And even today, you could argue that there's a lot of actors actors don't get enough credit sometimes, because to get roles, sometimes they have to put their bodies through a lot of physical, to bulk up or to bulk down.
Physical trauma, really.
Yeah. Like they'll have to starve themselves or drink shitloads of water instead of eating to be able to fit into certain roles. So people don't really think about just how much goes into that.
I found the title. I believe this is Guilty Crown.
Oh, okay.
But he also showed Infinite Stratos, which was really a staple, or the tail end in hindsight, I believe, of the the romantic comedy kind of deal.
Yeah. So anyway, let's continue.
And relationships in anime feel forced and unnatural because of this bad dialogue. This scene is the perfect example.
That was a joke, my guy. That was a funny scene, my guy.
Okay, let's go.
Cool.
デリケートな問題だから言いたくないか見て綺麗
本当だ空の色絶妙
梅干し色時色じゃないですか
もう少し空が見えるところに行こう
そうね
Everyone in this scene reacts to things in the same way. The dialogue.
What?
Wait, what?
I believe.
Wait a minute.
My quick interpretation. Here we go. One character says, "Oh, this is kind of delicate." Then suddenly changing the subject.
Changing the subject. Look at the sky. It's so beautiful. And then everyone's like, "Yeah, it is beautiful." But did you notice something there? Wait a minute. I want to go. Let's try live action replay. Nretsew live action replay. Let's go back. Let's go back. Right. Let's try that again.
デリケートな問題だから言いたくないか見て綺麗
本当だ空の色絶妙
梅干し色時色じゃないですか
もう少し空が見えるところに行こう
そうね
What's the odd one out? Did you notice the odd one out?
Not really. There's
the silver-haired girl.
Yeah, I mean,
girl is delayed. It's delayed. No, because this is important because this is directly countering his bullshit. He's making the claim that all of these characters reacted the exact same way to this distraction of the sky, right? So you have 4 characters in the scene, right? Obviously, the context seems to be, I haven't watched this anime, but so this is all entirely me going off what has been shown as the example, right? So you have 4 characters in the scene. One character is clearly talking to the silver-haired girl, and they're talking about what seems to be a delicate subject for the silver-haired girl. The silver-haired girl is obviously nervous within the scene. She's uncomfortable. She's feeling a little bit out of whack. Suddenly, another character, perhaps a character that's a little bit more, that understands and recognizes
or
the
completely
awkwardness
not
of the situation.
Or maybe just ignores.
Yeah. Let me continue, right?
Yeah.
Because there are multiple interpretations of this. I'm just going through my thought process, right? So you have another character that seems to be, understands the situation. We don't get to see this character, so we don't know for sure if this is the case. This is just one of the many possible interpretations, which again counters this guy's entire argument. It completely falls apart, right? So she goes, "Oh, look at the sky." She cuts in and goes, "Oh, look at the sky." Right? And all the other characters, the other 2 that are in the scene outside the silver-haired girl, look at the sky, and suddenly the conversation has been redirected from what the sensitive topic that was making the silver-haired girl seem uncomfortable, right? And so the other 3 characters are now having the conversation about, "Oh, wow, the sky, it looks so beautiful. Hey, let's go find a spot where we can look at it better from, somewhere else." And you notice that the silver-haired girl's reaction is delayed because she's obviously in an anxietive state, right? And is clearly, her mind is not 100% on what's going on around here until suddenly she does look up at the sky and then gets snapped out of it, right? And then I'm guessing from here, they're going to now go and find a spot to, look at the sky a little bit better, right? That was just from the information that I was provided. I was able to extrapolate that entire scenario and perfectly understand what's happening in this out of context scene from this random anime. But from this guy's point of view, this is bad dialogue because to him, the dialogue is not directly influencing what's going on. A lot of these clues are visual and contextual clues. They're not just dialogue clues, right? Which, the point being, dialogue is not the only important fucking thing here, right? There are other things happening right now that are important to what's going on. But if you ignore those things, right, then you're missing out on all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So his entire
Nretsew,
point. So I'm going to finish and then I'll let you go. His entire point that all of these characters reacted the same to this this interruption is completely fucking wrong because they clearly didn't react the same. So anyway,
my quick my subversive interpretation is that the girl is colorblind, and that she's been hard.
They're talking about the fact that she's colorblind, and then the chick is like, "Fuck yeah, look at the sky, it's so beautiful." And then she looks up at the sky, and she's like, she can't see the colors, and now she's sad.
Yes, that's my subversive and out of context interpretation. That this is a scene that she's been hard excluded. These characters are a representation of society that doesn't understand colorblindness.
Yeah.
And it can't be one character that reacts the same. No, it has to be a group that excludes her. So it can't be a one character.
Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, but and this just adds to my point. This just completely like demolishes his entire point here because there are probably other I'm probably completely fucking wrong because if I watched the anime and
I am most certainly that I am wrong. I don't believe my interpretation, but it is wrong.
But I'm But I'm saying like there's clearly a lot going on here, and you can get a lot of information if you just actually fucking pay attention to what you're watching, and don't just be an idiot about it. But anyway, let's do some comments and then we'll get back to it. So he says, agreeing with other people. What are you, a comic? Yeah. I think this dude is language blind. I think he expects the characters to have as much passion as the English language would have, even though JP is a softer language. Yeah, could be true. It's basically a girl likely understanding the social group dynamics and changing the subject on purpose to avoid conflict/hurt feelings. And the director obviously wanted that. Yeah, that's my interpretation. Like I said, I would need to know the full context, to know what's going on. But that's just what I extrapolated based on what was shown. I wonder if it's just subtlety be damned moment. Yeah. Granted, I didn't see the Shampoo example that he used for good dialogue. The example he used from Shampoo is literally just a character going, "Hey, we're gonna flip a coin, and if the coin is my way, you guys have to come with me." And then the guy takes the coin and throws it.
Yeah, because he also used
That's what he thinks good dialogue is, right?
He flashed Monogatari. He was talking about romance anime, and he flashed a bit of Bakemonogatari. And I wouldn't call that a romance anime, but whatever.
Yeah.
Bakemonogatari is dialogue. It's the one thing that the anime is. It's a slideshow to have more dialogue. It's the thing it's praised for. I mean, you can have a different opinion, but at least explain what you kind of mean by... Because it's funny dialogue, witty banter, all that is Bakemonogatari. So...
Yeah. Well, I guess to move on, like, he's just fucking wrong. But let's continue.
Everyone in this scene reacts to things in the same way. The dialogue tells you nothing about the characters.
What the fuck do you mean? What do you mean it tells you nothing about the characters? I literally just fucking went through an entire fucking diatribe rant, right? To explain everything that I'm fucking autistic. I got the fucking Asperger's and the autisms and the shit. And even I picked up on that shit. Right?
I don't think it's reasonable to expect that you can get any real characterization out of that.
Exactly, yeah. We're like I had to fucking pull a lot of that out of my ass, right? Like I'm just fucking like grabbing at what I can grab to manage to fucking extrapolate that. What? But even so, it's like it's still there, like what?
I mean, for a characterization within a minute, remember Kill la Kill, the intro scene of Gamagori, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Gamagori comes into the classroom, is huge, and talks about the student law. And
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
teacher
yeah.
bows down to him, and he talks about the traitor, whatever. Traitor finds out, blah blah blah. Gamagori, he runs away. Gamagori laughs. Gamagori is big, imposing, powerful, authoritative. Throws the guy
Yeah.
around, blah blah. Oh no, I got the power, try it out. Oh no, Gamagori is still super duper powerful. And blah blah blah. Oh look, it's Satsuki, the bigger boss. Hey, he's subservient to her. He calls out that everybody should bow down to her. Hey, we know now what Gamagori kind of character is. That is the characterization within a minute. That one conversation, not even a conversation, is not enough for characterization.
Yeah, you get the basics beats, but you haven't gotten the full story.
Yeah.
Right? You get the basic idea, but and even with the example he showed, right? It's like, I don't know anything about these characters. I don't even know their fucking names. You know, I don't know their names. I don't know anything about who they are or what their motivations are, what their personalities are. But even just from that little scene, I'm able to at least make some educated assumptions, right, about what these characters are. Just because it's not like spelled out explicitly, right? Which is weird, because that's almost what I feel like he wants. He wants things to be just like explicitly spelled out to him like he's 5. You know, it's very weird. So yeah, a group of high school teens having synced reactions. What a crazy! It never happens, Ellie. And it's not like that. It's not like someone says, "Hey, look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane.
Bruh.
It's Bhraaaa.
Bruh.
Bhraaaa. You know, like, it's not like that ever happens ever when a group of people are like doing something. You know,
Never.
Like, come on. Never happens.
Dialogue should move the plot forward naturally, but here the sudden inclusion of the girl saying the sky is pretty is really unnatural and is purely there to force the plot forward, in an unnatural way of showing the main girl can't see colour and how that makes—
Oh, you were right! Holy shit! You doing that future sight thing again.
Yeah.
You're doing that future thing again.
That was a completely... Well, he doesn't want the dialogue to move the plot forward.
But here's the thing, right? Here's the interesting thing. Even though I didn't have that context and I didn't know that, I still picked up on the fact that obviously the topic of discussion was making the girl uncomfortable. So there's obviously something going on. Yeah, there's obviously something going on, right? That tells me as the viewer, hey, this girl is obviously anxious about something. She's uncomfortable about something. The other girl wants to change the subject to something else, right?
And then
so
he thought in a very thoughtless... So, assumption number 3, because apparently I'm perfect at future prediction. If they were talking about her color blindness, and girl who mentions the sky wants a difference in opinion, and she does that by looking at the sky and pointing out the sky, not knowing that it's another sore point, right?
Yeah.
7.
Yeah. yeah. It's very yes, he still didn't get the get to the change scene even knowing the story. Yeah, it's really weird. And he's like, it doesn't move the plot forward. To me, it does move the plot.
No, he said it forcefully and unnaturally moves the plot forward.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, but I don't get that though. Like, I literally don't. Yeah, natural versus unnatural thing. Yeah, like I don't fucking see that. To me, that seems like a normal interaction that would happen between characters or people, for that matter. Right? It doesn't seem unnatural to me at all. So. Alright, let's see what he has to say. Maybe he'll explain himself better.
Makes her sad and unique. And from this interaction, I wouldn't believe that they were friends or wanted to be around each other.
Those 3 would be around each other. They like each other enough to go together to a place to look at the sky.
The sky, yeah. This is so fucking autistic. I'm sorry, I don't have any other way to describe it. Like, he's being so autistic right now. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't. Like, this feels like he doesn't understand how humans interact, which again is ironic coming from me, right? Like, he's fucking.
You should ask me. I am the expert, apparently.
Yeah, the diagnosed autist, right, is the one that has to explain human interaction. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god! All right.
Because they're not bouncing off of each other, it's not a natural progression.
What do you mean bouncing off each other?
It's the point that they aren't. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. What the fuck is? Listen, I'm not a media literacy person. I hate that meme, right? But this man needs to get some fucking media literacy. Like, what the? How can you watch that scene even without the context and come to this conclusion? This is ridiculous.
Like I said, the uncomfortableness is the point. Her being excluded is the point.
Yeah, exactly. She feels left out. She feels like and she can't like express. She's having trouble expressing it. She can't express. Oh, yeah, I'm colorblind. I can't see this guy. She doesn't have a way in which to properly communicate that to her peers, and it's causing her uncomfort. And that's what the director is trying to convey to the audience, right? Hey, this girl is uncomfortable with the situation. Right? But he has completely ignored that and doesn't understand or empathize with that feeling of being uncomfortable. Right? There's this weird disconnect going on here. Let's continue.
It gives no reason for these people to like each other, when dialogue should be used to convince you that characters enjoy being with each other.
Oh, no.
So what does he want? Right? What does he actually fucking want? Does he want, like, them to be like, hey, you're my best friend. We were having the greatest time of our lives having this walk. Yukimi or whatever. You seem kind of uncomfortable. Why are you uncomfortable? I'm having trouble saying, hey, look at this. Like, is that what he wants? Like, does he need to have everything explicitly said through dialogue and spelled out for him? Right? Is that actually what he wants?
Nah,
because that to me would be even more unnatural. Like, that would be people don't fucking speak like that.
The clips that he showed don't really help because they're lacking content so much. It's by pure chance that I guessed that she was colorblind, and that he doesn't. If he wants to explain why this scene is bad, he failed completely because we didn't get any context for the scene and not any setup with any characterization beforehand.
I don't think the scene was bad at all. It conveyed like the feelings that it felt like it wanted to convey, right? It didn't fail to send the message, right? Regardless of context. So what not everything has to be about moving the plot. Sometimes these things are there to like showcase a vibe or send a feeling to the audience, right? It doesn't always have to be like a straight arrow moving forward, right? Sometimes it's okay to take a breather.
And be uncomfortable for a moment.
Yeah. Alright, let's continue.
Good dialogue also leaves room for interpretation. Emotions shouldn't.
I'm having a blue screen. I'm having a fucking breakdown moment right now because it's like he's fucking living in an alternate fucking reality because everything he's saying is exactly what that scene did. It's what that scene did. Ellie, we both had different interpretations. Right?
Yeah.
Like, obviously you had a different guess about like the context or whatever with the colorblindness, and you were correct on that, right? But we both came to somewhat different conclusions.
But
based on that one fucking bit of dialogue.
I just disagree
so what the fuck is he?
I disagree with the premise that we need to have different interpretation on the dialogue. That good dialogue.
Yeah, you don't even, you don't even need to, you don't need to have different interpretations of the dialogue either. Like, the dialogue could be as simple as, like, this is what they said. There's no way to interpret it any way else. It doesn't need to, you don't need that. But I'm just saying that I'm still, like, stuck in that example of the fucking colorblind girl, right? Because it's so, because everything he's saying that should be what good dialogue is exactly what that scene had. So what the fuck is he complaining about?
Weird.
Yeah, like, what? I'm confused as to what does he want? Does he want everything to be explicitly explained to him in the most bland fucking, like, every single minute detail must be spoken out loud by a character? Or does he want it to be open for interpretation and for things to be left, hanging, and there to be different ways that you could do? Like, what does he actually fucking want? He's being very schizophrenic right now. He's being... yeah. The simplest thing is that he's tone deaf. I agree. I think there's something going on here. I don't want to be too insulting, but it's like, come on.
Hard to hear with a cardboard cereal box on his hand.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah. When he said the problem with bad dialogue, was it was being too vague, and all.
Be declared. There should be nuance in the words characters say. Generally, anime struggles with subtlety, but I think a good example is this scene.
If you think getting hit on the head and not waking up excuses you from your duties, you got another thing coming. Abandoning your post for 3 days is unacceptable. I'm talking fines here, fines.
It's simple, but gets my point across. Haruhi being...
What? How is that even... Ellie, am I fucking losing my mind? Am I like... Just too... Am I too dumb to understand this man's
he doesn't,
genius?
He doesn't know what he wants. I'm kind of blanking what he just said because I was distracted. I was distracted by the Harry voice.
Yeah, English bad. All right, anyway, we'll go a little bit more. We'll go just tiny bit more. All right, let's listen.
In the words characters say. Generally, anime struggles with subtlety.
Oh, this is what I was...
Okay. So, genuinely, anime struggles with subtlety, right? And then he says...
is this scene.
The example is this scene? The Harry scene?
Let me hear again. So...
There should be nuance in the words characters say. Generally, anime struggles with subtlety, but I think a good example is this scene.
But I think a good example is this scene.
Oh,
right?
because Haruhi's being tsundere at this moment.
Right.
Have you seen the movie?
But I haven't seen the movie yet. Oh, maybe years ago. But like I've seen Haruhi though. I have seen Haruhi. So.
You think getting hit on the head and not waking up excuses you from your duties? You got another thing coming. Abandoning your post for 3 days is unacceptable. I'm talking fines here, fines.
It's simple, but gets my point across. Haruhi being mad or whatever, but the nuance is her and Kyun's relationship and how she is worried about him. I really like the body language in this scene, with Haruhi leaning over the bed and being excited. Anime...
I'm having a fucking hernia. I'm having a brain aneurysm, Ellie.
He's saying that the entirety of the entire medium of the anime has a problem with nuance.
And then he's like, then he's using Haruhi as like an example of nuance because he had to like.
Because the character is being not true to themselves. I mean, should I pull out my Zero no Tsukaima, familiar of Zero, Louise, when she's being tsundere against Saito, or to Saito, beating him up because she kind of likes him, but he's low-born and a summoned familiar of her, so her noble pride doesn't allow her to, treat him nicely. Is that nuance?
God. god. Alright, let's go. I want to get through this fucking video.
Often doesn't utilize body language, but when it's combined with dialogue, it
Okay, this point. So this is from the movie, right?
Yes,
Movie's got higher production values than the anime.
most of the time.
Yes. So why? Yeah, obviously the anime isn't going to have as expressive. Like, I mean, it can, right? But I feel like he's expecting, like, I don't know. I think on one hand, it's like, yeah, okay, a lot of anime probably doesn't express body language that well, but I'm gonna say nine. But then that just goes back and loops back around to like, okay, but if Japan is, it's all, you know, this apocalyptic hellscape where all the animators are in sweatshops, not able to fucking actually create art or whatever,
Not having personalities.
not having personalities or whatever. Of course, they're not going to fucking have body language that emphasized in the anime, right? Like, they're not going to animate it because it's going to cost too much money or whatever, right? So again, I'm just at a loss as to like, yeah.
But body language isn't
so great.
expensive though, right?
Yeah, not necessarily, no.
Because
So, I don't know.
even even in a lower budget slice of life anime, you can have a character with their hands behind their head, you know,
Yeah.
spread out, wide stands. That
Yeah.
doesn't cost money to have a character be more, you know, wide stand and more assertive.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand, but I'm having problems understanding this guy's points. That's because he's not doing a very good job of expressing them.
No.
So let's
great
continue.
nuance and make you feel things. Something else I'd like to add is that anime dialogue can just be unnatural because it's not real life. And it being animated makes it more believable than if it were live action, so for me, more over-the-top or cringy dialogue isn't as bad as it would be if it were in live action. Something I've noticed is that a lot of dialogue in anime feels kind of stilted and set in stone, with characters often waiting their turn to say something. This may link with Japanese culture as well, with politeness just being the norm. But for me, it just feels weird seeing anime conversations be so cordial,
Pause 1
even when
second. Just might be, the reason why characters wait for each other to finish speaking might be because the voice actors aren't in the same room when they record.
Maybe there's something to do with the direction.
It's
yeah,
the more
of
technical
editing,
things.
Yeah. Maybe this isn't like some giant cultural fucking like play thing.
Technological, logistical, people management kind of
Maybe
problems.
there's some valid fucking possibilities here. Yeah. If I'm getting quiet, it's just because I don't like. I'm struggling to find stuff to say that I haven't already said. Like I don't want to repeat myself all the time. So I'm just kind of like, you know, I'm here for the ride at this point. Let's just see what he goes.
they're joking around or supposed to be having fun. That's why I love the dialogue of something like Gintama. It's fast and characters respond fast and talk over each other. Whereas it seems like other animes really take their time when making their characters respond. This could be for production reasons like
Oh, hello.
Hey, no, first mentioned that it's definitely the entire society of Japan that causes this, and then maybe, just maybe, it might.
Maybe it's production. Yeah, maybe.
stretching out the show or just not having enough time or money to make it better. And this would make sense as I usually see it in the more generic.
It's bad.
He's
now.
so close. He's so close yet so far.
Just blame it on they aren't motivated enough to make it good.
Those damn sweatshop workers need the whip to make sure the dialogue is perfect for my Western sensibilities.
And even then, all of the web novels and the light novels and the whatever novels scripts they use for the dialogue, they aren't talking over each other in the original or in the work they are adapting. So why?
Yeah.
It's just It's a function of the medium they are adapting from. If the medium isn't suited to have characters talking over each other, then the adapted work isn't going to have characters talking over each other.
Yeah. So our boy in the chat says, America cartoons have people talking one after the other. They talk fast and avoid silence like the plague. So maybe his problem, fast pace and no silence equal better. Maybe for him. Yeah. I don't know, because again, it feels very yeah. It's a weird
Yeah,
process.
and
But anyway,
of course, it's in general that Magician is right. That in general, you don't talk over each other in a work, in a TV show, in a whatever, because you want people to follow the plot, follow what's going on.
Yeah, you want people to understand what's being said, unless you're specifically wanting it to be a situation in which like people are talking over each other because they're meant to be. Like, let's say it's an argument and they start talking over each other and then someone butts in to end the argument or whatever.
A TV program in the background is suddenly giving hints to the situation.
Yeah. You need, exactly.
Generic and cheap-looking anime. I think a reason that some people are still hesitant to watch anime is dialogue. While there are a lot of
Really?
I don't think that. I think, well,
I think the real barrier is going to be, like, outside of watching dubs, it's going to be the fact that it's, a different language, and a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that the anime saturation, the cultural acceptance of anime has been complete. You're no.
Yeah, I don't. We're not in the fucking 2000s anymore, right? We're
No.
not. We're not in the era of anime being this niche thing that nobody knows. Like, only like a select few people that are passing like VHS tapes to each other at conventions actually fucking knows about, right? Anime is now a global fucking industry and phenomenon that has captivated at least a good solid chunk of the world. You have anime, we've talked about this before, like the Demon Slayer movie was one of the highest grossing fucking films of all time.
In Japan,
right?
Yeah, but also elsewhere.
Not just in Japan, but like fucking internationally. It broke records internationally too, right? It was not just a Japan-centric thing. Like, people,
Everybody can point out the Naruto. Everybody can point out
One Piece, Naruto,
the Demon Slayer.
I mean, when I was in 2015, when I was doing my creative studies certificate, people were all talking about Attack on Titan. At the time, Attack on Titan was like this big thing. It was like a big thing for even people that weren't like traditionally anime watchers were talking about it. And this is not online. This is real life, right? Talking to people, having conversations about it in real life at the table while we're doing work, right? So I feel like, I feel there's this weird tendency I get from certain people in the anime community to both try and pretend that anime is a niche thing, but also gas it up as being the massive cultural phenomenon that it is, right? They want to try and act like we're still in that old era where anime is this niche thing, but it's not anymore. It's just another form of media now. It's not this like obscure thing, and I feel like people kind of need to wake up and kind of snap out of this like delusion a little bit and realize that times have changed and we need to kind of move on. I know it sounds a little bit harsh, but we can't, because it's holding back conversation, right? Like, this guy here is like going on about how, one of the reasons people might not get into anime is dialogue, when it's like, no, I think the reason, if someone hasn't gotten into anime already or doesn't know about anime already, I think the bigger barrier to entry is probably going to be just the fact that it's in a language they don't understand and they have to read subtitles. But that's even solved by dubs existing at all, right? So, maybe I'm off base, but that's just kind of the feeling that I have. Is I think people need to just kind of start. We gotta act with how things are now, right, and not be so tethered to the past.
Yeah,
that doesn't
but he's
exist
still
anymore.
using, again, this problem of Now, Black Lagoon being used as an anime for dialogue, it's kind of weird. I would want for this kind of video, if I were to even want to hear this argument really, is to have anime from the last year. Show it's a problem now. Show it's a problem.
Yeah, because he uses Shampoo, and Shampoo is quite old now.
Yeah.
Like Shampoo, I can't remember when that came out, but that was quite a long time ago when that came out. So, I feel like you should use examples of the here and now, unless you're like talking about the past and you want to bring up the past and do a comparison or whatever, like that's different. But I think that if he's talking about a problem that exists now, right, he should probably try and keep his examples to things that are culturally relevant to the now, right? But anyhow, let's continue.
Anime with good dialogue. There are easily as many shows that have awful dialogue and are still popular for whatever reason. Classroom of the Elite is literally.
Oh, hello.
Oh no, I just wanted you to preempt the chat that cutoff isn't me. That's the video. I have just a few pixels inside of the frame that number 5 popularity that awkwardly off half of the screen.
Right,
that's in his video, not mine.
I probably wouldn't even have noticed anyway. But anyway, so yeah, newest show I remember seeing from him as a good example was Space Dandy from 2014. Yeah. And now he's going to talk about Classroom of the Elite.
As bad
for some reason. Yeah, let's see what he has to say about it.
One of the worst anime I've ever seen. Episodes where nothing happens, full cast of characters that are nothing more than tropes. Dragged out and pointless conversations to try and make characters seem smarter than they actually are. Generic designs, generic characters, generic everything, and of course, bad dialogue. Bad dialogue and bad characters are connected because dialogue makes up a big part of a character. What is a character to you other than the interactions and actions you see them take? That's why anime with good characters have good dialogue and soulless shows with no characters have bad dialogue.
Unga bunga. I like good thing. I like good dialogue, good character. Bunga. I'm sorry, but that's what this feels like to me. Like he's just that's how he's saying things, right? Comes off to me as literally unga bunga speak, right? He's not like saying anything remotely fucking interesting. He's just saying, I like bad dialogue, bad, good dialogue, good. Must have good dialogue. You know, but
he's also just dismissing outright shows that he doesn't seem to like. I mean,
yeah, like I haven't watched Classroom of the Elite. I haven't read it. I don't know anything much. I've heard of it. It comes up in conversations every now and then, so I know that apparently it has some form of a fan base, right?
Yes.
So but it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't like the show, you don't like the show. That's fine. Right, but I don't know enough to be able to like defend it or agree with him. Right, like I don't know enough, which is why him just stating the example, right, is a problem. Because
I need the context. I need the dialogue.
I need the context. I need to know. Like I don't watch every single fucking anime that comes out in a season. I didn't watch Classroom of the Elite because I didn't particularly care enough to want to watch it. I didn't hear enough about it to know to want to get into it. So I have no reference point when he's saying, "Oh, it's just generic characters and the dialogue is bad and the characters are all just tropes or whatever." Like what that doesn't mean anything to me, right? And that's what I hate, right? So to address some of the chats, Redoc seems to know more about Classroom of the Elite than we do. He's like, Classroom of the Elites is too subtle for him, lol. Magician of D is like, I'm tired. I'm tired and true high school. I'm a tried and true hater. Yeah, boy, let's go. True haters in the house. And listening to this man agree with me tests my convictions. That's my entire rebuttal.
The person you hate makes a point you agree with Terrible
Yeah,
news.
worst thing. Yeah, terrible news. Person you hate makes a good point. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it for the wrong reasons, and that's what annoys me. I get that feeling. Yeah, I've had that before, where it's in both cases, where it's like people like things for the wrong reasons or hate things for the wrong reasons. Like, again, I don't know Classroom of the Elite. I have no reference point to it. I've heard mixed things about it. So I know that it's probably not the best thing ever, right? However, when you're doing a video like this, you can't. I think we've even made this point in a past cast years ago, right? It's like you can't just assume that the audience knows what the fuck you're talking about, right? Sometimes you do have to spend a little bit of time to go. Classroom of the Elite is an example of a generic bad anime. Here is an exact example of why Classroom of the Elite break something down a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be like 10 minutes of that, but you do have to you have to give people like a proper reference as to why you're using this as an example.
Yeah,
Because if I haven't watched it, because if I haven't watched it, then it means nothing to me. I don't fucking know.
Colorblind girl, at least give me a genre or something, right? Give me a genre. Give me what should I expect?
Is it a slice of life? Is it a cosmic horror? Or is it a fucking
drama? Does she have superpowers? Her color blindness gives her infrared vision or whatever.
Vision or some shit. Yeah. Also, tropes used as a negative is annoying. Yeah. People do that a lot with anime as well. They'll be like,
media really. Games.
Yeah, media. Yeah. People have become really poisoned to the idea of tropes in general, which is kind of a shame because all a trope is it's just a tool in the toolbox.
It's a convention.
It's a thing that has been tried and tested and it works, and you can use it in a story however you want to use it in a story. Sometimes it's executed poorly, sometimes it's executed really well, and it's enjoyable.
Sometimes it doesn't belong in the story that you're using it for.
Sometimes it doesn't belong, sometimes it does. It's one of those things where I feel people get lost. They get lost in the source, right? They get lost in the source. They see the trope and they get triggered and they go, "Oh, I recognize that reference trope thing. That's bad. Bad tropes are bad." It's like, no. You got to be a bit more open-minded to that kind of thing, right? You got to kind of be a bit more like, look, how was this actually executed? Right? Because that's a more interesting conversation to have, right? How did they execute this trope, and does it actually succeed in conveying the message that they want to concede? So our fella in the chat says, I love Classroom of the Elites. The books were great if you're into harem and cool character development. I get people are not into it, but saying it's bad because it's bland is ridiculous. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll take your word on that. So anyway, we're almost done. We're almost done, Ellie. We're almost fucking done.
I know.
Oh god.
Almost.
Because there's nothing there other than forcing the generic plot forward and pushing the illusion of relationship growth. So I can easily see how bad dialogue could put someone off from watching anime. I think a lot of...
So see what he does there. He says, bad dialogue puts people off of watching anime, not specific anime, right? Again, it's just this idea of having everything be a monolith. Everything has to be like, anime is such a wide genre of works, right?
Yes.
There are so many different subcategories. There are so many different subgenres. There's so many different types and styles and movies versus OVAs versus series versus whatever, right? Adaptations versus originals. There's so much granularity to anime, but these people keep just boiling anime down into this single monolithic thing that always change. It's always vague and changes depending on who's talking, right? Because this guy's idea of what anime is can be completely fucking different to someone who only watches shonen, right? Or who only watches romance or only watches Yuri or something, right? Like it's I find it doesn't actually say anything to be like, oh, this bad dialogue is turning people off of all anime, right? Because it's silly. It's just silly. But anyway, I don't know if you have anything to add to my little rant.
Yeah, I have something, but maybe he'll mention it. Maybe. I don't really think so.
Well,
I have one thing, but
All right, well, we're almost done anyway, so
Yeah.
let's go.
People don't realise the importance of dialogue. I would argue that it's the most important thing to an anime. How do you connect to a story? Through its characters. How do you connect to characters? Through the way they interact with the world and other characters. And what's a large part of that? Dialogue. For me, if dialogue is bad, it's hard to ignore. For a mixture of reasons, I don't think dialogue is seen as important for anime producers / artists. Whereas dialogue is a big focus for Western artists. This could be
Oh,
Thing,
wait.
thing, thing, Japan.
Think Japan bad.
Thing Japan bad. Thing West good.
He was going to say about the Japanese culture, society again.
Alright, I'll let him go.
because of collectivism or rush schedules or just a difference in what cultures enjoy. But I don't think it's impossible to create a good show without good dialogue. Shows like Real Life have awful dialogue, but the themes and story still shine through and hit me and resonated with me. I think that's just a testament to the skills of Japanese artists, who with different tools and skills can manage to move me without good dialogue. It is a shame though, because if shows like that had good dialogue, they would be literally perfect. I feel like
Alright.
dialogue is the essential thing, but in anime it's always just a bonus, and shouldn't be expected. While bad dialogue can feel unnatural and make an anime bad, there are still plenty of anime that manage to be good with not amazing dialogue. I just wish shows with good dialogue were more common. It sucks growing up with anime and slowly wanting to watch fewer shows and not being able to get into pure shit. In a medium where bad dialogue seems to be accepted,
Alright,
shows with good dialogue.
because it's
We
heartfelt.
only have 10. We only have 10 seconds left, please.
Alright, because it's going to happen again. His mic keeps popping.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, I don't have the best mic either, but
This room isn't already set up for a good mic use either. But anyway, his mic keeps popping. It's annoying me. Yeah, that's my quick interjection before.
Alright, yeah, we got 10 seconds
Will
left.
always
So come on.
stand out to me.
Hey, it's the end.
Alright. Whatever. I make videos on my phone, subscribe so I can make everything. Well, I mean, good for him. I mean, it was pretty well edited for something that he made on his phone.
Yeah. So two things. The show that he liked but had bad dialogue. I'll just say without confirmation, it has a good dialogue.
Right.
Yeah, he got the characters. Characters came across, their feelings came across, blah blah blah. He got
He didn't. Yeah, he really needed to
gave an example
Yeah.
or something.
Mm.
Also, and on me, it became. I had this idea at the very start of the video, 2.5 hours ago. It didn't really come up, and I don't believe it's super relevant anymore. But watching anime requires knowing the language of anime, just as much as playing a game requires you to know the language of the game.
Mm.
But I don't believe he doesn't know the language of anime. He sure seems very familiar with the language of anime. He just doesn't really. I don't know what he really wants of it.
Yeah, I don't know what he wants either. Like, he's done a very poor job at getting his message across. So yeah, yeah. Like, I don't have much to say.
He said a lot during the stream.
Yeah, like I'm running out of fucking juice. I'm running out of fucking juice. Yeah, his take is stupid anyway. Anime directors know about dialogue, and how thousands of people on Twitter will see this and copy and paste anime about. Yeah, exactly. It's just like what happened with the bloody, dubs are cringe. It's the same fucking shit, and that's why we do this stream and why we criticize these people, because someone's got to fucking do it. Someone's got to stand here and go, no, this is not fucking acceptable, right? This Orientalism nonsense, right, is not acceptable, right? We got to stop doing it, right? You guys will talk about the weebs and they infantilize the Japan and whatnot while you guys are sitting here fucking going on about how Japan is fucking all collectivist society, hive mind fucking robots or whatever, come on.
Weird
Yeah,
beyond belief. It's the hardest Orientalism I've seen, really. Such casual also. And it's not racism. It's not the racism, but it's very much stereotyping entire people very hard.
It's definitely in that vein, yeah. Hang on, I'm just dealing with something on Discord right now.
Oh dear,
Some spam bots in the server I'm helping to moderate.
Oh, that server?
A server, yeah. Just gotta get rid of all of these. I tried to ban the user, which should have deleted all of their fucking shit from the last hour, but it hasn't done it. So now I have to go in and fucking just
I see. Yeah, I saw that one and the one below.
Deleting.
It's gone in the yeah, we hang out.
I'm getting there. I'm doing it right now. I'm fucking.
Yeah. All right, Redoc. I see you. Yeah. But I'm not against people discovering anime today and hearing what they have to say about it. Seeing, I'll go over to another screen because we're done with the.
Yeah, we can go back. We're gonna do casual chat in a minute.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, while you do that, I might go pour myself a drink, and then I will come back.
Post amble.
So yeah, post ramblings. All right, I'll be back in a second.
Yeah. I think still it's useful and it's interesting to hear what new people have to say about anime when they first come in contact with. Same really if they are playing a game for the very first time. What are the hang-ups? What they don't do? What don't they understand? And you can kind of use that to improve it in a sense. Not really anime because of course it's in the end a story. But yeah, I don't. This video was very confusing. It wanted good dialogue, but didn't really know what good dialogue was. It is when there is nuances, multiple interpretations, when characters bounce off of each other, when it's a tennis match. But then the first example of a bad dialogue was when the colorblind girl was feeling left out, and it was bad for the reason that the three of them didn't bounce off of the girl that was awkward.
Which was kind of the fucking point of the.
Which was the point, indeed, the point of the scene, to show she was left out and they were bouncing between each other. Hey, look, fancy sky. Oh, look, I think it's this color. No, it's this color. Let's go over there. That's bouncing off each other. And even if there was...
And then she's like, ah.
Yeah. And I don't... And there's too little context from what he saw. From what he showed, I mean. Too little context from what he's shown to really get a interpretation that it was bad characterization in us or bad dialogue. If he wants to say that these aren't friends and they're supposed to be friends and therefore the dialogue doesn't make sense for them to be friends if they say this stuff like this, fine. But you didn't give that context. You didn't give us the genre, the title of the show. There's 0 credits of any kinds in the descriptions. And yeah, it all hinges. My biggest problem, now that I've digested a little bit, are the huge generalizations on society and what he thinks flows from it.
Yeah, I agree too.
Because,
that's like a big.
Because I can, of course.
And my issue is that's not even a unique problem to him. I see that a lot.
Yeah, because I mentioned the American war movies early on in the stream, but I can, of course, draw lots of society interpretations and readings of, the Americans like their war stories where they are the sole heroes of the entire world and they can just come into, I don't know, southern Germany and wreck stuff and it's all fine because they saved the day and they don't have to do anything. No apologies. They are applauded by the citizens of the town they destroyed because they saved them from, I don't know, a space pet, space dog.
Big spaceman.
And that, of course, all comes to a culture that is vengeful and militaristic and kind of fascist. That is the US, that is the America, and therefore it's very, that's culture, that fascist militarization culture is the reason why America loves the war movie so much. There, perfect. There's no counter to my argument. Right, Nretsew?
Cope, sieve, dilate. But yeah, no, it's these kind of, like, it is fun to sometimes, go into some of these like types of ideas, but I feel like when you're doing this in terms of the context of his video, I think it's a bit, it's a bit weird.
Napkin cultural stereotype, cultural generalizations is all fine and well, but if he's going to connect the culture of Japan to, I don't know, it's so huge in scope and so small in effect, right? The entirety of the culture of Japan, an entire people of the entire island chain, and everybody who likes it or even knows the language are sucked into this culture of politeness and no personalityness, and that and the one thing that it reveals itself in is anime characters say the same lines often in the same kind of contexts, right? It isn't that the anime stories have some other moral basis, some contrary opinions about the world, about religion, about the meaning of life. No, all this collectivist culture does for Japan, for the media, for the works of art they create is sugoi. That's the effect of the collectivist culture. And that is so, like I said, it's so wide and so broad and so impactful for the entire culture, and the effect is so benign and non-significant. I don't really, there's barely anything between it, right? It's the sun compared to the earth.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah,
it's the big Orientalism.
Japan, this or that is something everyone does to explain anything they don't like in anime. It's stupid. Yeah, I agree. It is very silly. Because the discussions always end up kind of not talking about the media itself and what the media is actually doing. How does it actually? It's like I mentioned before, like with tropes, right? I'm much more interested in somebody wanting to have a conversation about, okay, how is this trope being used, and does it effectively convey what the author or artist wants to convey, right? That's a much more interesting conversation than just, oh, tropes bad, or oh, Japan culture bad, or oh, this, that, or the other thing. Because it's so simplistic, right? It's a very simplistic way to view media and art when really the reality is things are always a lot more complicated than they seem, right? So yeah, that's kind
of I don't believe
my take.
Yeah, I don't believe that the big society segment really added anything to his points. Because
no, it didn't, really.
It's a vague explanation of a thing he doesn't like, but that doesn't really change anything about the thing he doesn't like. And the collectivist, the alleged collectivist society doesn't even really hinder good dialogue. He had plenty of examples of good dialogue. So Japan being collectivist society allegedly doesn't make them unable to have good dialogue. So
No, it doesn't.
so what's the deal?
Yeah, what's the deal with airplane food? You know?
Yeah, why include it if the collectivist society thing doesn't really even prevent Japan from having good dialogue, then just focus.
Why even bring it up in the first place?
Yeah, it's 5 minutes, and I felt the half of the video felt like was Japan is collectivist society completely with no personality.
He did a very bad job, in my opinion, of getting his points across. I think he definitely needed to kind of cook that one in the oven a little bit more, because there were some parts where I could kind of get what he's trying to say, but just the way that he kind of frames things and delivered it sort of undermined his whole,
if he does not like how anime characters speak and what they say and how they, communicate, that's one thing, right? That's his personal opinion, and I wouldn't have, I wouldn't pick this video to stream on if it was just that. I don't like how these anime characters speak. It doesn't really sound realistic. It doesn't really seem they're talking to each other. More like they are waiting for each other's turn because the studios don't have any money, I guess. Whatever. This is an example from what I think is bad. This is an example is good. Fine. Not worth streaming about.
Yeah.
The entire culture.
If you point out that they get angry though, they never thought it through. It's just trope bad. Yeah. And trope bad itself is a trope. Yeah, it's the ironic thing. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know if you've got any final points before we kind of do a little.
No. Did you watch the latest Freeland episode?
I have not, and I have a reason for not, because I'm going on my trip next week.
Yeah.
And I want to have some anime saved on the laptop in the event that I have downtime while I'm at a motel to want to watch.
Oh, did you watch the Eminence one?
I haven't watched anything. I'm saving a week's worth because it's next week. So because all the animes come out while I'm going to be away, right? So I'm basically going to be a week behind almost, because I don't necessarily want to be legally acquiring my anime with motel Wi-Fi. so I'm gonna stock up a little bit on things that I can kind of have on hand in case I need to, if in case there's some dead time in a day or whatever. I might not need to, but it's one of those things where I just kind of want to, if I'm trying to go to bed or whatever, and I just want to watch some Fearin or whatever. So I have not watched any anime this week. So, and I'm probably not going to watch any anime this week. So we're not going to be able to have anime discussions until next, not next cast, not Tuesday cast, but the next weekend cast that we do. So we'll probably have a lot to talk about, because we'll be like 3 more episodes ahead and whatever animes are coming out.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched anything, so you're gonna have to talk about something that I'm not watching.
Oh no. But yeah, just to mention, we have an episode planned for what you said Tuesday.
Tuesday my time, Monday your guys' time.
Yeah, Monday.
I'm a day.
It's an extra stream because, like Nretsew said, it would be because he isn't there for the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not going to be here for the weekend because we normally do the shows on Saturday, Sunday, my time. So, on the weekend time for me. So, because I'm not going to be here, we're going to try and get an episode done just so that we can keep like at least one a week.
Inside the week, kind of.
Inside of the week, kind of. So, We're
Yeah.
gonna be doing that. We haven't decided what we're gonna do for that episode yet, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah. And I was
Um,
thinking about. I saw an update for Dungeon Keeper. Do you know the game?
Sounds familiar.
It's an old game, Bullfrog.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking about streaming it. It's a childhood game of mine, and I really like it. One downside, I guess I'll have to play it in English because
Oh no.
my childhood memories are, of course, it being in Dutch.
Right.
Het is betaaldag. Je slaven worden boos.
Yes.
All the Dutch barks in the game. Well, it will be English for the stream. But yeah, I never really. I played it a bunch as a kid, but never beaten it. So I'll try to stream around the weekends when we would have a stream, and I'll stream.
Yeah, when I'm off in a different part of the country. So yeah, we'll have some content coming out. It's just it's going to be a little bit hectic until.
Yeah, I didn't just test stream of Noita. It went pretty well.
Yeah, I heard it went pretty good. So anywho, I don't think there's been any real Twitter drama to talk about. It's just been pretty, the usual. There's nothing hyper specific going on right now that I at least want to talk about. Yeah, I think we're probably it's probably going to be a shorter episode today. Oh no, still on that. We're still on that 3-hour mark. We're still on that 3-hour mark.
We got really caught up in that cultural Japan thing.
Yeah, that stuff really. Yeah. Oh yeah, if Ellie acts as the translator, for the game, things should be fine. Yeah, live translation with Ellie. Could be fun.
Surprising a lot of text though. It's kind of like
oh no,
digging and placing rooms and names of things.
Yeah, I vaguely recall. I haven't played it, but I know the game you're talking about. Yeah, so it seems like it could be fun. But yeah, no. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about. Really, there isn't anything interesting. So
yeah, So like and subscribe. Gleam the bell.
Yeah, like and subscribe if you want to see more of our cringe content or whatever.
Give your suggestions in the post. Give the post a like while you're at it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah.
Yes. Later. Bye.
Yeah. No.